Albert Pyun's Captain America. Does it improve on the 1990 original? We're about to find out. This year, Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Video released this new version of the film on Blu-ray, and were gracious enough to grant permission to CineFile Video to screen it in Los Angeles. I teamed up with CineFile Video on November 11th, 2025, that's Veterans Day, appropriately enough, where I led a Q&A with screenwriter Stephen Tolkin to introduce the film, and you're about to watch that interview take place. We went into behind-the-scenes stories and the other superhero projects that Stephen almost wrote. Once you watch the Q&A, stick around after the break, as Alex will be joining me to compare the new director's cut with the original cut and what we prefer about one over the other. This is Captain America Stuff You Should Know. All right, welcome everybody to the CineFile screening for Captain America, the Albert Pyun Cut. Thank you. I'm Ben Wan, and this is Superhero Stuff You Should Know. We're a podcast specializing in nostalgic superhero movies, along with unmade scripts, deleted scenes, lost media, and, in the case of tonight's film, alternate cuts. And joining us tonight to introduce the film, please welcome the movie's writer, Stephen Tolkin.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, just to get an idea, who has seen, first off, the original 1990 cut of this movie? Raise your hand. Okay. And then who has seen this Albert Pyun cut?
Did you recover?
Who has seen the Albert Pyun cut that we're about to see? All right, so one person in the back. That's about it. So that kind of gives us an idea.
Okay.
So we're going to sort of introduce this new cut and the story behind it, and for like just kind of seeing what is it between, like, what is the difference? What's the story behind the fact that there are two different cuts here? I know when we first talked, you said your reaction to the original cut was,
Well, I went to see a screening at the old Directors Guild Theater on Sunset with a couple of friends.
Mm.
And I sort of sank lower and lower and lower into my seat as I watched it, to the point where this sounds like an hyperbole. They literally had to carry me out.
Mm.
They had to lift me to my feet, and they took me to a sushi bar just around the corner or down the street and poured sake down my throat to revive me, because I was in such shock at what a complete incoherent shambles it was, thanks to whoever recut it. Which would have been Menachem and Yoram, I'm guessing.
right.
Yeah.
And so this one did not cause that reaction.
I went to see it. I love Albert so much, and I saw his hand in it. I was happy to see that he really respected it. I mean, it's a weird script. It's not like it's Chinatown and he messed it up, you know? It's a very odd script. I was not necessarily the right choice to write it. I'm not a superhero person. At summer camp, I read Superman and Archie. That's it. Superman and Archie, that was my thing. And I wasn't really into any other superheroes. When they asked me to write Captain America, I had only vaguely heard of Captain America, and I didn't know how to do it. And so I took a very odd take on it, which those of you who've seen it from the old version know that it's a very left-wing superhero movie. And superheroes are essentially, certainly not right-wing or left-wing, but they're not like really intentionally left-wing the way this was. And so it was an odd choice and an odd movie, but there were things in the script that I was very proud of. And Albert really, when I saw his cut, I saw the things in it that did work and were very special.
Without giving much away, because I haven't seen it myself, but one thing that I know of is that we play around with time a lot more in this.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. He completely restructured it from the script.
Right. So this is
He
not how
kept the content of the scenes more, but he turned the time frame of it completely around, so that a lot of it plays in flashbacks. And I thought it was a really good idea. The script doesn't really support it. In other words, if we had thought of it in the script phase, it really would have worked. So he's gluing it together in places where it doesn't necessarily naturally glue together. But I thought it was a bold, really good idea.
Right.
And the studio cut restores the original ABCDE of the order of it, but kind of ripped the meaning out of it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's one of the things to look for because I do remember like hearing about that, but also feeling like the linear nature of the theatrical cut was not an issue that I had with that
No,
version.
that's not the problem with it. The problem is that there was no logic. There was no setup and payoff. And it was very badly and jerkily cut, and it just wasn't good. But there are essential problems to the movie that remain. You know, it's not. It's a wonderful curiosity.
I do think that there's a lot of interesting choices made too from like a lot of people watching this are comic book fans too, so we could dive into some of the like creative choices that I think some of those are I still appreciate because one of the most memorable things about seeing because I saw the original cut as
Yeah.
a kid. And what always stuck to me just years and years later was just the opening of the Red Skull's origin, what happens to his parents, and the ending with the piano.
I was very proud of that.
Yeah, and
It was just, it came at, first of all, why the movie had to be set in Italy, nobody knows. Menachem Golan
that was a question I
said
had, yeah.
the movie will be set in Italy and made in Italy. So I'm like, but it's about Nazis. So I just fashioned this whole thing and came up with this thing with the piano and the Chopin and all that, the unfinished chord. I mean, it was like it was one of those things that comes to while you're driving on Sunset Boulevard or something, you know? And they actually shot it and everything. But the weird thing is it has to be made in Italy. They made it in Yugoslavia. So, and which they made then look very much like Italy. They did a great job. But it was... Nobody knew. Nobody could ever explain it to me. Did he have money in Italy that he couldn't take out of Italy? If that was the case, then why didn't he shoot it in Italy? It was never explained. We bet the whole movie around a sentence spoken by one man.
And is that the reason why Red Skull starts off as
Yes,
Italian?
absolutely. I decided it had to have an Italian. And Scott Pollan, I mean, he is sublime. He is, by coincidence, a friend of mine they cast on the role. He's so incredibly good in this movie. I mean, the other thing is, this is the other thing. The cast is amazing. Melinda Dillon was right off, I mean, that was not that long from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And she was just so, I mean, they wanted to do it. The script attracted these people to it, Ned Beatty and Ronnie Cox, who were, Deliverance. They all wanted to. Ronnie Cox spent hours in my office with me working on the character. It was like I was so starstruck. I couldn't believe it. He was so involved and committed. They just all really loved the script because it was oddball, because it was left wing, because it was an anti-superhero movie. They went for it in those days before superhero movies were mainstream and cool. They went for it because it was renegade. Yeah, but not renegade enough.
Well, that is definitely from an era where there's a lot of different changes of superhero movies where like it's hasn't quite hit the boom that we got with the like MCU and obviously how it's became in the last few years where you got a lot of changes, but also I feel sometimes that those changes make those movies arguably more memorable than the ones where they do try to just stick exactly to it. And it's like, that was pretty much what I remember. And then
the Chris Evans Captain America was right over the plate, normal. I thought it was fantastic. I looked at it. I went to see it. I was so excited to see it. Well, let's say I was dreading to see it because I didn't know what I'd think. And I thought, why couldn't I have just done that? Why did I have to get fancy? Why did I have to come up with this crazy stuff? I don't mean my whole idea came from one moment. They asked me to do it. I really needed the money. I had kids. I had 1990. I had 2 children. They were in school. I didn't have money. I really had mortgage. It was a very thin time for me. I couldn't say no, even though I had no idea how to do it. And I was driving down Sunset right by Fairfax, and a Gil Scott-Heron song came on the radio. People here know Gil Scott-Heron, and I heard this lyric. It's winter in America, and all the heroes have been killed or betrayed. I got the lyric wrong. It's actually all the healers have been killed and betrayed. But I heard heroes, and suddenly I went, that's my story. There's somebody who has assassinated Kennedy and King and everybody. And that's why the world needs Captain America now. And it all just came to me in that flash.
Yeah, you actually introduced me to that song when I heard you share that in another interview. I was like,
it's a great song, isn't it?
Yeah. I can totally see what you mean in terms of it leading to the themes that were there.
I don't.
Especially with
If
West Skull's
it's
involvement
really
with those.
life is weird. If that song hadn't come on the radio in that moment, I don't know what I would have done. It suddenly gave me the movie. And then Italy gave me other parts
other
of
stuff,
it.
yeah. Other comic changes, I mean, people have noted, like, obviously there's no Bucky Barnes, but also kind of feels like that was an era where they were saying, let's kind of put the sidekicks.
I also was reading, they gave me a stack of Captain Americas to read, and I think the ones I was reading didn't have a lot of Bucky in them. Right. So that was it too, because I was not familiar with the character.
Yeah, that also makes sense. Let's see. Also wanted to bring up, in terms of things to look for in both versions, not a lot of people might know this, but you have a cameo.
I had a cameo. Yes. They shot in Yugoslavia, and then they came back to LA to shoot the LA stuff, right? Or the whatever, wherever it's set. And I have the little cameo. I'm the photographer at the farewell party.
So yeah,
it was fun. It was, by then it was the very last or second to last day of the shoot, and everybody had been months in Yugoslavia, and they were all completely exhausted and dispirited. And when I complimented the production designer on the production design, he went like, yeah, I can't. Yeah, they don't even. I can't even. Yeah, he just didn't want to. It was not fun to him at all anymore.
Gotcha.
They were worn out.
But be on the lookout for, it's the kitchen scene, I believe.
Yeah, I take a picture with an old-fashioned camera.
Nice. Now, this is known as the Albert Pyun cut, obviously, and unfortunately, he passed a few years ago.
Sadly,
would have loved to have had him here for this.
He would have come.
For sure, because I actually saw on YouTube, you can see he shot it with his own cell phone. He goes to Vegas to go to one of the early screenings of this cut.
Oh, really? Oh, he did?
Yeah, this is like around the time of Captain America First Avenger coming out, because you can see, he sort of slyly like goes up to the poster of it in the video, but like it's on his YouTube channel where he showed an earlier version of this cut out there. So like I know for sure if he was still around, he would love to come to CineFile.
He was a fantastic guy. He loved making movies. He was like a kid. He was just so excited to be making a movie. He had a great sense of humor. He was a cheerleader, and he was just a wonderful, beautiful man. Yeah. He and I developed other projects too. We developed a sequel to Masters of the Universe, and which is a whole other story in itself, which I would love to tell, but I think you probably have questions about this.
Well, I mean, we could go, I'm sure, I mean, we will have an audience Q&A in a bit, so I'm sure people will want to hear more and more about it. But in terms of basically just opening up the floor about memories of working with Albert on this, because it is because of, his widow and the friends of his that we have this available, on Blu-ray.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unfortunately was not on the set in Yugoslavia. I was working on other projects, actually in Russia for part of the time. But I did spend that one day. So he was also extremely hard worker. He just worked absolutely endless hours, And all I'm going to say is I wish I'd known him better. At the very end, he was, he had cognition problems at the end of his life, and he and I had a lovely phone conversation. He was starting to lose it, but not a lot. And we had just a lovely, warm conversation a couple of years before he died, and it was really nice. And I'm sorry that there wasn't more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we have the chance to see the version that he wanted to put together too.
Yeah.
For tonight.
Oh yeah, me too. Really, really glad. Yeah. And
one thing that I want to highlight too is something that I didn't realize did not come from the comics, and it's something that is in common between the version you wrote and the MCU. Kind of took this idea, which is Captain America and Red Skull both come from the same serum. That's not in the comics. That's your idea.
Did they take it from me?
It looks like it came from you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I found it from.
I don't remember that in the first Chris Evans movie.
One of your old interviews. I remember at that point out, I'm just like, wait a minute. I thought like it's in the MCU version because it's, that's just how it is. But then I looked more into the comics, and then I re-looked into the Chris Evans one where like, the Stanley Tucci's scientist is just like, originally this was for Schmidt, who becomes the Red Skull, and now I refined it and turned it into yours.
So I invented Dr. Vasari, who's that character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
So MCU took a
I'm
piece
suing.
of you. But I just wanted to
I have only the highest respect for those people. And obviously for Stan Lee. I mean, what I really got out of this experience, what I got out of doing Captain America was a friendship with Stan Lee. That was the best thing that happened to me. And he was I mean, talk about a beautiful human being. So generous to me in compliments and support and enthusiasm for what I was doing and wanting to do other stuff with me, which I didn't do because I learned that it wasn't for me. And I turned down things that you would like, you'd go crazy
I do
that
have a
I
list
did,
of
but
those.
I did the right thing because I didn't want to do anything for Stan that I couldn't absolutely nail. But I will say this, when I was directed my first movie in New York, and I wanted a kid in the movie to have a bunch of Spider-Man comics all over the walls of his little lair where he lived. And they were doing it for HBO, and they said, it's absolutely impossible. It'll cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just absolutely forget it. Don't ask us again. Forget it. So I called Stan and and just asked him and said, is there any chance? And I got a call from HBO saying, you can do anything you want. You can do unlimited numbers of images, just put them up on the wall. He just did that for me as I mean, how grateful could I be, you know? But that's just one thing. He was just his wife was fabulous. He was just, yeah, that was what I got paid, you know, for
Friendship
doing
with
this.
Stan, yeah.
Was a fabulous friendship with him. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about those other projects you turned down because this is maybe, this is the only superhero film you've written, but you were offered a couple other ones.
He asked me to do Spider-Man at Canon. So that would have been another very, very low budget. And I couldn't relate to the villain, the 8-armed villain and the whole thing.
Right.
I just couldn't relate to it. And then later on, they asked me to do Incredible Hulk with Gail Hard, the big one, right? And I took the comics with me. I was traveling in Italy with my son, who was 6 at the time, and I took the comics with me. They gave me time to think about it. And I read comics, and my son and I kind of looked at them together on trains all over Italy. And then I called and I said, you know what? I'm not the right writer for this. I couldn't embrace the mythology. I couldn't get inside it. Right or wrong.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anything else that we should be on the lookout for in this that you're, without giving too much away, but that you're proud of, or that we should, keep our eyes peeled for in this before we go to the audience questions?
Let me think. It's really low budget. Really low budget. And it really shows. And the special effects, and there are moments in it that are unintentionally comical, ways that people hide that aren't the way that anybody would ever hide. There are just moments that, because Albert was in a hurry and he had to stage things extremely quickly, he was a much better director than some of those moments show. And so the movie was really, really dented by its budget, by its weird, wrong screenwriter, and by the strange Italian overlay of it all. Just manage your expectations. That's all. That's my advice.
All right. Audience questions. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Tolkin on this movie? Otherwise, we can ask about that other sequel that you were developing with Albert.
Well,
could you tell us about Masters?
If anyone has a question, I'll tell you about Masters 2. It was, I did an uncredited rewrite on the first Masters. Guy, Gary, whatever his name is, who was I don't love every director I work with. He was a piece of shit. And it was borne out years later that he actually molested a bunch of young boys. I was like, I didn't guess that, but I knew he was a really, really, really bad dude. And there was a wonderful script by David Odell, a beautiful script guy who wrote Dark Crystal. Gary completely rewrote it, turned it into a useless, just incoherent. Like, what's on the page? I don't know what I'm looking at. And they brought me in to rewrite it. And what I said is, I'm going to restore David Odell's draft in a way that works for production. My goal is to make David Odell's draft work for you. I did that. And Gary, day after day, each day, issued the pages back of what he had done. And for whatever reason, they didn't. Anyway, it was a terrible experience. So they said, we're going to start with you on the Masters 2. And I had just worked on a short film with my production designer, was a woman in a wheelchair. She'd been in a wheelchair for 20 years. She was completely adept. She got everywhere around it. She was an artist. She lived in a loft downtown. And I said, that's going to be my main character. An artist, woman in a wheelchair, downtown LA. And He-Man comes to Earth and gets all involved. They all had to be on Earth. They couldn't be on other planets. They didn't have the budget for other planets. And we wrote the whole thing. And Albert and I were so excited about it. So he casts this woman to play her. And she was not, in those days, you could cast somebody who wasn't in a wheelchair to be a wheelchair. She said, I commit to spend the next 6 weeks in a wheelchair. I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna drive. And I would see her all around the building practicing getting in and out of the wheelchair. She said, I'm only gonna live in this. And she practiced the whole thing. And Albert and I are working on the movie. We're so excited. The actress is so good and she's so committed. And she's in that wheelchair. She's not gonna get out of the wheelchair. And then Menachem was all about it. Menachem went to Israel, and Yoram read what we were doing, and he called me and Albert into his office, and he put his hands on the desk. I'm not going to do the full imitation. And we walk in, and he's like, the cords in his neck are like that, and he's like this. He goes, nobody wants to see a cripple. That was it. Take her out of the wheelchair. Albert. We had to completely rewrite it, take her out of the wheelchair. The air went out of it. Albert went to the actress and said, I'm so sorry, we're not going to do the wheelchair thing. It's going to be completely different. She said, oh, fuck that. Went skiing for the weekend, broke both legs and had to spend the next 6 weeks in a wheelchair. True story. And then ultimately, that was never made because Mattel, it's Mattel, right? They were so picayune, like He-Man wouldn't do this and He-Man wouldn't do that. But Menachem and Yoram, to their credit, said, then we won't make the movie. Go to hell. They finally said, your notes are stupid. So anyway,
they didn't have issues with the first one, though.
Pardon?
It seems like they didn't have issues with the first one, though, if they didn't interfere with that one.
The first one was so awful. That one I don't have credit on, and nobody, thank God.
You're glad on that one, yeah. Yeah. So you were mentioning the experience of watching the first Avenger, the Chris Evans version and stuff. What has been sort of your, I know that you said you weren't a big Captain America fan.
Well, let's say it wasn't that I wasn't a fan. I didn't know. I only knew really Superman. That was my, that was the Superman. That was the comic that I loved as a kid.
Did you feel like there was a Superman influence on your writing for this one?
No, socialism, communism was my influence on this.
But also, a lot of people bring up the similarities between the two characters. Is the reason why
Superman and Captain America.
Captain America, but maybe you feel differently.
Superman is a more interesting character. He's got a more
go into that because some people would disagree.
To me, the whole outsider coming to Earth and being raised, and the sort of the Jewish history of the character, the immigrant history of the character, it just struck a nerve in me as a kid, quite a deep one. Yeah, the orphan. Not that I was an orphan, but every child sort of either thinks they are or wishes they were. And it was it had a real resonance for me. Superman. I remember just hours on my bunk at summer camp reading Superman comics again and again. Particularly love the Bizarro Planet.
Oh, they still need to do that.
Why haven't they done the Bizarro Planet in any movies?
I don't know. They're afraid to do anything outside.
They would have Judd Apatow would do the Bizarro Planet movie.
Maybe it'll show up at some point. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope so.
So when writing this, though, afterwards, was there? I mean, sometimes some of the writers I've talked to on different franchises, they end up. Sometimes they feel like, now I feel a sense of not necessarily ownership over this, but they feel like a connection to it and want to follow more of it. And other times they're just like, no, that's the one and done, and that's.
Well, as I said, I was done with that. But I no, so I wouldn't say that I had that. Right. I never sought out another superhero thing.
Gotcha.
Although I do love other people's superhero movies really a lot when they're good.
Yeah. So that's why I bring up the Chris Evans one, because I was curious about how much of that was informed by what you said in terms of just like, oh man, I feel like this.
I just love that. I just love that. I love that they did something way simpler and way better than what I did. And I loved Iron Man. That's my other favorite.
Gotcha.
Superhero.
That's the classic start, right? Yeah. That's how it turned into 20 or 30 movies at this point.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions before we go into plugs? Yeah.
So if you weren't into comic books necessarily at the time, are there any other references or influences on this specific script?
Good question. The Gil Scott-Heron song, my left-wing upbringing, my sort of the idealism that my parents raised me with, that of what societies should do for the people in them, so that I formed this idea in my head of the perfect American president. That's what Ronnie Cox plays. The absolute ideal, what the true priorities of a leader of America should be, right? And that's what I put into Ronnie Cox. His concerns, what he wanted to do for people. And Ronnie and I worked with that really, and Ronnie will let it more and more and more. There's a big speech he gives, right? Where he lays out his program. And that was everything I was raised with by my left-wing, well, I would say very, very liberal progressive parents. And Ronnie embraced it. And that more than anything was my influence on this. Then there's my love of traveling in Italy, and I got to, say what towns in Italy they were going to shoot it in and describe Italian landscapes and Italian cityscapes, all of which Albert captured extraordinarily well in the movie. Yeah, locations are great. So that would be my big influence. My parents left progressive politics.
One thing to look out for, and maybe there's a story behind this too, but I do remember the Easter egg of the mentions of the Submariner and the Human Torch, the original Human Torch, not the Fantastic Four Human Torch. In when the younger versions of Ned Beatty and Ronnie.
Oh yeah, they're reading. Yes,
they're just like, oh, he's not. It's not the Submariner. It's not the Human Torch.
Oh, I completely forgot that. Yeah.
So I was curious if there was any story behind that, or was that kind of just thrown in?
Yeah.
Because those would have been the heroes at the time, anyway.
No. Oh, by the way, speaking of expectations and what to the missile and Washington,
right.
And not even close. I mean, you needed a POV of the kid from the missiles. You need all of these shots that there's not even any version of them in the sequence because it was so far beyond the budget. And that's really sad because that could have been very exciting.
So it's not different in this one.
No.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's not.
All right. Any other questions?
Yes.
I'm interested to know how you got to working with Canon Films and Menachem Golan because, especially if you're putting an explicitly left-wing script in front of him, I think he's sort of famously right-wing.
They didn't notice.
That's what I was wondering.
They did not notice. They noticed somebody in a wheelchair, but they didn't notice what I was saying.
Boy, doesn't that say
yeah.
right way?
Yeah, absolutely. I was never aware of their politics. I've forgotten how I started working with them. You know what? Somehow or other, somebody sent me to a meeting with Henry Weinstein, the guy who ran the company, who was an absolutely fabulous person. One of my favorite people I've ever met on my path through Hollywood, who died young, and I miss him. I really miss him. And I don't know what happened. We just clicked. You know what? I was cheap. They could get me cheap. That's why I think I ended up there.
We had a question in the back.
Yeah, so you said Menachem said it has to be set and shot in Italy. Did they have any other peculiar requests during the process that colored things?
Make it for $1.50. Yeah, no, I don't. And as I said, I was not connected with the production until the last day of shooting in Venice or Manhattan Beach, where we shot that scene. Yeah, no, that was it. Italy, and no one could ever explain it.
Yes. Any other questions?
Is Captain America stealing the car at different times? Was that in the script, or was that something that kind of happened?
He steals the car. He pretends to be sick and steals the car.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I've read things where the script gets really slammed for that, and I'm like, did I really do that? Did I really have him do it twice? I think I probably did. Yeah. I'm gonna probably fess up to that one. Yeah. I have not gone back and read the script. I have it actually somewhere. I found it somewhere in the attic. Yeah. It's long. That's the other thing. It's long. I did not learn how short a script needs to be. That's till too late for that. Yeah.
So we'll be screening in a little bit, but just to let you guys know, we do have copies of Captain America: The Albert Pyun Cut up here that you can purchase from CineFile. And that as well, for being here, if you guys haven't eaten yet, we do have pizza that is on us, on the podcast, as well as Believe Land. You can thank Leander in the back for that. So that will be coming pretty soon. But you can purchase a copy of the Albert Pyun Cut, and Stephen himself sounds like he's open to
sign whatever. Yeah.
So if you have that or any memorabilia, you can come up here. We also have my own comics as well. I'm also a writer myself, so I have my own manga, Musashi and Son, which is based off of the samurai Miyamoto Musashi and the boy he adopted and trained to be a warrior. And my comic series Alter Ego, which is about 5 families of supervillains who take over a city, and the main character goes under cover as a henchman to take them all down. These are all up here for sale. We can all come up and say hi. And other than that, we do have An announcement: if you like this with the podcast, you guys can scan the QR code to follow Superhero Stuff You Should Know. And on Friday, January 23rd, I'll come back to CineFile for the Dolph Lundgren Punisher 89 work print cut. This is the extended version of that movie. And the guest there will be Kim Mayuri, who played the villain Lady Tanaka. So come and check that out.
And another time, I'll tell you about Dolph Lundgren's fight with Billy Barty on the set of Masters of the Universe.
Looking forward
Thank
to
you,
that.
Ben. Thank you. Really.
Yes, thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. There's some flyers as well for the there's a Frida event over at the Santa Ana Theater, the Frida, so you get those. And other than that, come on up, say hi, and that is Superhero Stuff You Should Know. Thank you. Hey guys, if you want to hear more of us outside of Superhero Stuff You Should Know, you're in luck. Both Alex and I have shows and other work that we produce outside of this podcast. Alex, let's hear about your other podcasts.
All right, so obviously I know you guys are a fan of superheroes, so I'll start off with I have Flashbacks, a Flash rewatch podcast where we cover every episode of the CW Flash show. Also, if you're a fan, I know you can see in the corner the Batman thing. We have Night of the Batman, where me and my wife and occasionally other guests cover everything Batman related. Ben was actually on the show, and we interviewed John Jackson Miller, and also we covered his book, Batman Resurrection. So definitely go check that out. And also, if you're more into like kind of a vague kind of movie-ish show, kind of like a vague, like What Mean kind of vibe, then I have What Mean podcast, which is also great. That's just vague, like movies, TV, music, just whatever I kind of feel like covering. That has made a comeback recently. So look forward to that. And if you're into just TV in general, and especially nostalgic TV, I would recommend Review More Girls. My wife and her cousin cover it, and that show heavily deals with family, the Gilmore Girls show, and they talk about their own personal, their personal family life, and also just how they relate to each other, kind of like the two main characters of that show. So definitely go check that out.
Awesome. Yes, I've been a guest on both Flashbacks and Night of the Batman. I've not watched enough Gilmore Girls to be part of Review More Girls, so I don't know if I'll be making an appearance on that one. But on Flashbacks and Night of the Batman, I've been there, and it's been fun. So definitely check those out. As for me, outside of this show, I'm both a voice actor and a writer. On the voice acting side, I'm currently voicing 3 different versions of Batman on YouTube. Yes, I'm the voice of Batman in the Arkham tapes. That's an analog horror series produced by one of our collaborators, The Bat Feed, in which I play a Bruce Wayne who's injected himself with the powers of the different Rogues Gallery members, becoming this monstrous version of Batman that you see there. And I am also the voice of 2 other versions on Newverse Creative. That's one of our favorite channels. That's NEUVERSE. This is a channel that produces audio dramas and motion comics, where I've contributed my writing to episodes devoted to expanding the worlds of the different versions of Batman, not only adapting the movies, but also adapting unmade scripts, junior tie-in novels, or existing comics, and just setting them into the movie continuity. So basically, it's the dramatized version of a lot of stuff that we cover on the show. I'm also the voice of both the Michael Keaton Batman and the Val Kilmer Batman in that. How did that happen? I have no idea, but somehow I landed it in there. Nobody's called me out as a fraud yet. So I adapted the original scripts for Batman Forever when they were produced in 2 audio dramas, one produced in the style of the Burtonverse with me as the Michael Keaton Batman, like you see here, titled Tim Burton's Batman 3, and the other in the style of the Schumacher film, of course, called Batman Forever, the Schumacher Cut audio drama with me as the Val Kilmer Batman. So if you're a fan of our Batman coverage, you won't want to miss these. And if you'd like to check out my original stuff, I also self-published my own indie comics. So check out my indie comic series, Alter Ego. This is a mix of Batman No Man's Land with X-Men and The Departed. 5 families of supervillains have taken over the city, and our main character goes undercover as a henchman to eliminate them one by one. And this is now available on Amazon. I say now available. It's always been available on Amazon. That's really the only place you can get it, other than just off of me. So the 3 issues are available on Amazon. There'll be more. You can also get the variant cover of issue 1 done by Alex himself that we see in the middle right here. So this is cool. And that is my first indie series. And the other one is my manga, Musashi and Son. This is based on the real-life samurai Miyamoto Musashi, who wrote the Book of 5 Rings. If you've studied martial arts or any sort of Asian martial history, Miyamoto Musashi comes up a lot in the Book of 5 Rings. And this is the story of how he adopted a son. Think Samurai Batman and Robin in this. They go from village to village hunting down the bandits that murdered the boy's father. Also available on Amazon, and the link to my Amazon author page is in the description that has all of these available in their different forms, both on Kindle and in print. You can also get merch for both my comics at my TeePublic, which has a link in the description. You occasionally see me wearing either an Alter Ego shirt or Musashi shirt in here, or a Superhero Stuff You Should Know shirt. If you want Superhero Stuff You Should Know merch, that's in here. On top of that, I have an animated movie coming out, directed by a friend of the podcast, Aaron Quinn. It is a faithful adaptation of the James O'Barr graphic novel, The Crow, that I co-wrote with Aaron, who will also be animating, and I will be the voice of the Crow. So that's our plugs. Check those out when you can. Steve Rogers is back, and so is Alex. Alex is joining me to talk about the Captain America Albert Pyun cut versus the 1990 cut. So, Alex,
oh man,
back.
I would have brought my Blu-ray from the other room too if I would have known you had yours. We could have done like I had both of them, so I could have just been like,
that's
like
true.
That.
All right, we got to do this again.
Yeah, hold on, let me get up.
take three. No, but
yeah. God damn it.
We have both seen each cut, the original 1990 cut and this newly released official Albert Pyun cut.
Oh, you got that nice signature on it.
I got the nice signature from Stephen Tolkin. Yeah, he signed it for me afterwards. Yeah,
nice.
He's very gracious about that, and I got him to sign the graphic that we use to promote the stuff. I'm going to send that over to you, Alex. So
nice.
You'll have Stephen Tolkin's signature too. But yeah, Alex, you know, we've talked about this movie, this new cut offline a bit. I think we're pretty aligned in the stuff that we love about it. So I thought that I would hand it over to you, since the audience has seen me for the past 30 minutes anyway, talking to Stephen Tolkin. So let's go into, hey, like, this is this new cut. What do you think? And what do you like? What is it that does improve upon the 1990 original?
So like the first thing I'll kind of go into is just like music makes a big difference, and like score especially makes a big difference in like the feel and the vibe. Think like Halloween and stuff like that. That movie would still be decent, but if it didn't have that music, like it kind of elevates it. It's the same thing with this. Like it's some of the scenes, like it's gonna kind of be like there are darker moments definitely, but the music really helps kind of elevate a lot of those scenes. It's got very much more 80s kind of synth score to it versus the other one, which is much more just traditional like heroic stuff. This one has more of a we talked about this, but like this Cap has never succeeded being Captain America until he finally does at the end, and that's, you see this through that. Like this is a much more bleak world too. Like the deleted scene, like the big deleted scene, we're kind of talking about this before, but like the kind of, like you said, the kind of Batman Forever giant bat Bruce moment in this is a scene in the VA hospital where you see his partner like basically like in a moment where he's lucid because I think he's got like Alzheimer's or something. It's never said what he has, but he's talking to him. He's just like, "What happened to you, Cap?" And then talking about how basically the war is senseless to him and how wars used to mean something. And then like he's buried a lot of people, or just seen a lot of men die that look just like Steve, basically in the mud for no reason at all. Like that was like one of those moments where I was looking, I was like, God damn, like it was like just a great moment. Like there's some emotional moments in this, and it like even with someone like the Red Skull, as like irredeemable as he is, like there are scenes in this that kind of make you sympathize with him, like the piano stuff and that motif, like calling back to his, like it makes him flashback to his younger years and everything. And he has like moments where he thinks about, like he has a tragic backstory in this, like they're kind of like brothers, him and Cap, and he calls them brothers. Yeah, they call them brothers, and like like it's got like these great moments, and like even though there are still those, it's kind of like a Batman Forever, like if we ever do get that cut, there still are those slightly cheesier moments in it, but like they're far less in this one. This one has much more it's a lot less campy, as much more of like a united vision with it. Like you can definitely tell Pyun was like going for something with this, and especially just with like how much darker it is. Like I was surprised because I've seen the original cut like a lot, and there are moments in that, and there are parts that look cool, but like the way that they lay this out too, with like the kind, I've heard it described like almost like Memento, where like he like you see the movie play out, and there's just brief like glimpses of like, you know, his past, or you'll see certain characters when they were younger do certain things. It's not like in the original cut we saw where like you see the entire thing laid out. Like you just get brief little like glances of it, like every now and then, like the characters are remembering it. But yeah, that's overall what I thought. I would definitely recommend you guys check this out.
Yes, Alfie agrees.
Yes.
Me and Amanda were talking about that. It's like, do you think that that Ben is going to show his son in this one? I said, I hope so.
I hope so. Yeah, it happens if he shows up, but he jumped on my lap, and so we had to.
We got to get the cameo.
Bring his cameo. Yeah,
Dan's
cameo
Dan's
that he does.
do the thing.
If you guys are only listening to this, you're missing, or you're not looking at the screen, you're missing when Dan puts in the Batman 66 thing of Alfie's face, and it's different each time. So be on the lookout for that. If you've missed it, then you have to go back to the last few episodes and keep looking out for the cameos. So
speaking of alternate cuts,
yes, exactly. But yeah, absolutely. In terms of, hey, like that VA hospital scene is what we said is the equivalent to Val Kilmer confronting the giant bat in the Batcave in Batman Forever. In terms of like, this is the crux of it, where in the Batman Forever work print cut, Schumacher cut, the original script, whatever you want to call it, that sums up Bruce Wayne's arc of, okay, like I'm overcoming my pain and I'm choosing to become Batman. Here it's Steve being really confronted with like, here are all the things that I missed. Here are all the things that remind him, unfortunately, of what he feels like is his failure. Like Captain America, like you said, did not get to become a legend like he does in Captain America, the First Avenger. This is not the Chris Evans version of it. This is not the Marvel Comics version of it either, where he was in several issues, you know, in the early days and became a legend throughout the rest of the Marvel universe until they found him in the ice later and like, oh my God, who's this? Like people don't know who the hell this guy is when he shows up in here. And that really makes it a lot more relatable. And I think that really gives a heart to the story. And to be fair, the seeds of that are in the theatrical. The seeds of that are in the theatrical for sure. Especially with the moment that I love that I think we need to highlight, which is the part right before he's about to storm the castle, before he's about to rescue the president and Sharon. He takes the one look at that uniform and he shakes his head and he's like, I'm not going to blow it this time. And I was like, damn, like that's such a bit, because you like, when do you ever see that? Especially if you look at the time, like at that time, superheroes, you're still kind of new to it. Superheroes should be super, you know, it's still Christopher Reeve, Superman. Michael Keaton's Batman has just debuted at this point. And here we have a version of Captain America that comes from such vulnerability that it really floored me when I saw it in the original cut. And obviously I knew it was going to be in this one. I'm just like, it'd be weird if that's not in the Pyun cut, because I feel like the Pyun cut's just going to be an expanded version of that. So I'm really glad we do have those added scenes of what Steve's going through, of grappling with that. Now, what you described in terms of stuff that goes back and forth with it being Memento, that's the kind of the stuff that has given me pause. And I know that I'm in the minority of this because so many of the things that I've seen on Captain America 1990, the Albert Pyun cut, oh, it's so much better than the 1991. And I was like, okay, in some ways, there's certain things that I agree with in terms of it does expand more on the Steve stuff. It does give Red Skull a more emotional ending, for sure. I think those things they're hard to argue. However, I was like, my feelings about it in terms of like it versus the 1991 are a little similar to how we looked at Superman 2 with the theatrical cut and the Donner cut, where I'm just like, well, there's things that I'm really glad I got to see in the Donner cut, and there's things that I don't miss between the two cuts that are, you know, not in the Donner cut, but there's things that I do miss that aren't in the Donner cut. And then there's stuff that I'm like, well, there's certain things maybe that I do prefer in the other one. And I think here, unlike the Donner cut, where like some of that is just due to the constraints of, hey, we're trying to make a movie out of some footage that we don't even have, some footage that was shot by another director. We're doing the best we can. Superman has to spin around the world again because that's the only footage we've got for this.
That's the part that got me with that.
Yeah,
like that,
I know,
and the
right?
test footage. I know people always complain about that, but for me,
That's more excusable. Yeah.
the test footage with like the whole like her faking him out with like the blanks and everything, and him revealing who he is, that works for me because you're pulled in by the characters. You can kind of overlook. We're as comic book fans, we are used to overlooking and like kind of like squinting our eyes a little bit and being like, it's kind of close. Like we're kind of as nerds, we're used to like that kind of thing of being like, it's kind of close. I'll take it. Basically, I see where their heart's at.
Yeah, and I think here you can see a little bit of that, but I'm really glad we got this. Much respect to Albert Pyun. He did the best that he could, and really grateful to his estate, his widow, and his friends for putting this together. This is the way that he wanted it. It's a creative choice in this version that in some way I got really confused by, because as Stephen Tolkin brought up in the interview, this playing around with chronology is not how it is in the script. In the script, he writes it in the same structure that we saw in the original cut, and I had gone in until I heard about this. I just thought, oh, this is going to be like the Daredevil director's cut that we talked about, or even Batman Forever, the Schumacher cut, work print cut, where it's like it's the same story but with this extended subplot that's added in. I wasn't expecting until what I heard about, like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that gets told in flashback. I was like, wow, okay, that could be interesting. Let's see how it works. And I think in the beginning it starts off like I think the best placement of it was when Steve steals Ned Beatty's car, gets into the truck, and in the back of the truck, he's thinking back to his life. And then we cut to keep that flashback with him and his girlfriend at the time and leaving home, and now he's arriving back home. Like, okay, I think that works pretty well. And it's like, okay, if the rest of the movie's like this, it could work.
It's a little Grand Theft Captain America a little bit. Like he's always stealing stuff. I was telling Amanda about that because there's a bit in Winter Soldier where he steals a car too, and I remember seeing the 90s movie first, and I was doing the Leo pointing at the screen thing where I was just like, oh my god, like I was like at a moment where I was like, I know what that's a reference to.
Somebody did a supercut too from the original theatrical cut of this, where like he does the whole, can you pull the car over? I think I'm going to be sick to Ned Beatty, and then he does it to Sharon again in the theatrical cut, but not in the Pyun cut. But he does it again to Sharon in the
you think they would fall for it after a while, be like, I'm not pulling over, like what's he gonna do? It's like, I guess he's just gonna do like that and knock him out or something. I don't know.
He does the super cut of that, and then it cuts to Captain America Winter Soldier, where Scarlett Johansson turns to Chris Evans, and she's like, since when did Captain America know how to steal a car? So but yeah, I think we talked about that, how like it's so funny that at least it amuses me that Steve's like, okay, my grand master plan of stealing this car is to pretend to be sick and have them pull over, but that's not the crux of it. I will run up, pretend that I'm vomiting, and because they have so much concern for me, they'll run up to me, and that's when I'll have my chance. And I was like, okay, so you're basically bargaining on them caring so much about you that it's like you could easily see, if it's a taxi driver, the taxi driver is not going to, like, especially a New York taxi driver, he's not going to run up to you and be like, hey buddy, you okay? He's just going to wait by the car and be like, all right, or he's going to drive off and be like, dude, you need to go to
like, wait.
I'm like, he that belief in humanity, right? This is what I thought was so funny about it. I'm like, that belief of humanity is still there, and maybe I'm giving too much credit for it in terms of the character thing, but it's what makes it amusing.
When you pull over, I think I'm gonna vomit. It's just like, no, you gotta get to the airport, man. It's like damn it.
Or he pretends to vomit, and then Ned Beatty's still by the car being like, all right, you all right? Seems like you're okay. You can come back to the car now. We got to talk about a bunch of stuff. And he's like, shit.
That scene was so funny in the movie. It's funny in both cuts, but where he gets in the car and you just see, like, he thinks he's a spy. He thinks, like, Ned Beatty's character is a spy. He just starts looking around at everything. You see, like, made in Japan, and, like, he's driving it like a Volkswagen. You just see him going, like that, just being like, oh, shit.
It's a fake newspaper and a fake radio broadcast. But the countries are the same on the car. They didn't bother covering those up.
In Avengers, he was at the end of Captain America, the first one. He was actually right. Like that actually paid
this
off.
was funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's certain things when we go back and forth. I was like, okay, I'm kind of on board. I did like how there was kind of a little bit more of a build up to seeing Captain America in this version, where like the first time, like you see glimpses of him with the missile, and then his gloved hand when he falls to the ice. But then like when he breaks out of the ice, you get like these. It's the same as the theatrical cut, but it feels like it's a build up to seeing it.
Yeah.
Right? Is like, you know, the face, the eyes that open up, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That does feel like that seems like that to be the intended way to introduce Captain America, more so than in the original cut where it wasn't as big of a build up. It was like, okay, you're in the outfit, and then he gradually loses the outerwear and is in full Captain America garb by the time he confronts Red Skull. So I thought that was kind of cool. But I started feeling
the Ultimates a little bit.
Oh, in terms of his outfit? Yeah.
It were just like the whole scene, like where he goes, it's a little different, but when he goes down from the plane and then he goes and confronts, doesn't he go and confront Red Skull? I'm pretty sure in the Ultimates at the beginning, there's like a flashback before he's in like the Monin garb, and they have like that moment. I remember because like I'd read the Ultimates first, and then I hadn't seen the movie yet, but I remember seeing like just screen grabs of it, and I'm like, hey, that's kind of close to what they do in the other thing. That's kind of cool.
That is cool. Yeah. I'd have to recheck my copy of the Ultimates, but like there's certain times where it works, but other times where, especially having known the theatrical cut, I know how the origin sequence where Steve gets the serum, I know how that usually plays out. I know the fight between Captain America and the Red Skull in the 40s. I know how that plays out. And yet in this version, it's cut around so much, it almost feels like it gets really butchered. I'm just like, we get glimpses here and there. I mean, again, the glimpses stuff that you described, I was okay with. For the most part, where we're just like, okay, like he's in the old lab again for the first time in 50 years. He gets glimpses of seeing the lab. Like, okay, makes sense. But then later on, when we have so much of that, we get in and out of that lab so many different times at different points chronologically. It just, some people have said, hey, it's edited like a mystery, but I was like, well, usually that means the flashbacks give you more information, like it fills in the blanks.
It's a mystery if you don't know what's going to happen.
That's what it is, because I'm like, this doesn't really answer, it doesn't really provide new information for me. I'm like, oh, this or that. Sometimes it did and sometimes it didn't, but a lot of times I'm just like, do we really need to cut from here to there? I mean, it got to the point where we've got the older Fleming, the older Darren McGavin in the castle, and then we cut to him having a flashback to when he guided the spy into the diner.
Good old Ralphie's dad.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, we already know he's that guy. We already know that the diner was the way to get the lab, because we established that because we were at the. It's like, why do we need this part right here?
That was kind of fun. I liked it in both cuts. I kind of liked that the diner, like this American diner, was secretly like where they had the headquarters underground. It's very conspiracy theory-esque. I kind of like that.
Yeah. I like the choice of the diner. It's just more of the again. Everything that I have isn't really an issue with the ideas presented so much as like the editing and the chronology in this new version of the Pyun Cut. I'm just like, dude, like if this was just the same structures of the theatrical cut and then you added the other scenes in, this I would have been completely fine with this. I don't know if we
parts
really
of it were kind of funny, like unintentionally funny, like that part where like he kills the scientist, where he's being all pleasant. At first, he's like, "Oh hey, oh, it's really nice to meet you." He just yells "Hi, Heil Hitler," and just like shoots her. I'm just like, whoa! Like it was one of those where it's like it's just kind of unintentionally funny. I just goes from that to that really quick. Yeah.
Some stuff I was like, okay, I kind of like. So if there's something that I missed, I do miss how it went from in the theatrical version. The kid says like, oh, you know, I have this picture of Captain America, tells his friend, and then we have this montage throughout the decades that Cap misses of that kid growing up and eventually becoming president, and we see Ronnie Cox several times, so we know, okay, visually that kid is now Ronnie Cox, right? In this version, it's presented through the audio, and the first time we see the adult version of him is literally just him picking up the phone and telling Ned Beatty like, hey, they found the guy. And I was like, I miss that montage. Like I miss kind of seeing the progression.
His rise.
yeah, the rise and stuff, and yeah, it is still in there in terms of the audio. It's just not, to me, it's not as powerful. I thought the Red Skull intro was a little weird. I could kind of get it in terms of like he's in the back of the limo being like, I want the president's schedule and stuff, and then he gets the newspaper and then has
Very
the flashback
Dr.
about his,
Claw.
yeah, he has the flashback to his hand getting cut off. But I'm all, when I was looking at it again, I was just like, wait, in the original version, the scene where he's like, I want the president's schedule is right after Darren McGavin is complaining to him about like the president's not giving us what we want. We need to eliminate him. You know, DeSantis, you got to do something. And then, you know, it cuts to him in the limo. That makes sense. But in this version, he's like, I want the president's schedule, but he doesn't actually get assigned to go after the president until like an hour later in the new version. So again, a lot of this is just due to they're playing around with time a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
In the editing. And I think it's a cool experiment. I think Pyun had an interesting idea to do it. I just don't think it necessarily works because, like Stephen Tolkin said, it wasn't originally written that way. If it was written to have the flashbacks, then we could have had a little bit more of a like, here's why we're flashing back type of thing. But when it's all done in post like this, you're kind of relegated to whatever the dialogue is or other things that were in place because it was shot.
It was a little jarring. I'll give you that. Like I was kind of waiting for it a little bit, but it was one of those things where I'm like, you know what? I'm enjoying the present day story so much that I can wait to see, like, you know, you kind of know what you're getting with the flashbacks, especially if you've seen the original cut. But I hear you, I understand.
Yeah. I think it's more about like how it was presented more so than the content. Because I wasn't like, oh man, like I really missed the scene where he fights the Red Skull before he gets launched in a rocket. I was more of just like, okay, why are we seeing this part here? Like one part that kind of confused me is, so the scene I love where he's looking at the uniform and he says, I'm not going to blow it this time. They put a flashback in the middle of it, but the way that it was done, it threw me for a second because he opens it up, he looks at the uniform, and then we cut to him in a parachute coming down. But the part in the parachute is actually the flashback. I thought like, oh shit, they're changing this up. Like he looked at the uniform and he's parachuting into the castle. And then as I went further, I'm like, oh wait, this is the flashback.
It can be kind of jarring sometimes.
It's the way that it's done. Yeah. And so that's why I'm like, okay, look, just like with Superman 2, I would love a hybrid cut. I would love, hey, let's put the deleted scenes back in, but kind of preserve the original chronology that we had. It's going to be interesting when it comes to the ending. We'll talk about the ending after the break with the Red Skull, because there's a lot there to talk about. But in terms of the same story structure, kind of like what I said at the interview of Stephen Tolkin, I'm like, I don't think anybody had an issue with the original version's structure or of it being told in chronological order. So it kind of mystifies me a little bit that it has this kind of jarring editing back and forth with the flashbacks. Again, I know it's a creative choice that Pyun was experimenting with. I just found it to be too much in this. But if you were to put that, kind of add it back in to the original structure and have the new scenes edited in, then for sure I'd be like, that would be the ideal cut. Just like if you put Superman 2, but you don't do the spin around the world ending at the end of that from Donner
the
cut.
Toothpaste back in the bottle.
Or any of that. Honestly, I think we've talked about this before, but like to me, the ideal ending of Superman 2, forgetting whatever canon is in the rest of the movies, is just leave it where Lois already knows.
Yeah.
Like, why do we have to reverse it?
They weren't ready for that back then. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things too, where it's just like you look at the other movies and like because Donner said it's about like a love story, but like even then it's like they weren't at a time where I think even in the comics they were still kind of flirting with the idea of her possibly knowing, but like they were always kind of just, it's kind of like Smallville, like the early years where it's like Lana's always about like, oh, it's secrets and lies and everything. Like it's just like they weren't going to do that for like a long time.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it is the way it is. But that's kind of my feelings on the flashbacks. One of our friends of the podcast, he was on our last episode, Ian Miller at Triple Threat Comics. He did a reaction video.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that.
Yeah. So he looks like he enjoyed that as well. So definitely check that out, guys. But
I have to get the Patreon, man. See the full thing.
Yeah. The biggest strength of this, though, Steve Rogers having to adjust to this future, right? This era that he's missed. And I think it explores it probably, honestly, better than what I've seen in anything else. Like, it's more so than the MCU, because the MCU, by the time he shows up in present day, it's like, all right, it's Avengers time. And then but to be fair to MCU, that's how it was in the original comics, was they literally brought him back in the Avengers comic. It was Avengers time. He's adjusting to being part of the Avengers. They didn't have
to be fair, in that
didn't go too much into the man out of time type of stuff.
I haven't read. I need to go. Actually, need to. That's a gap I need to fill in. But from what I understood, at least how Stan Lee used to talk about in like documentaries and everything I've watched, is like when Cap was there. And I mean, you have a little bit of this in the movies, but when Cap was, in modern time, he was constantly lamenting about how he was a man out of time and how he felt so out of place and everything, and how like he felt like the world had passed him by and everything. And like that's definitely like a deeper thing that like I feel like needs to be like, it doesn't need to be a thing like Logan's like origin or anything with like X-Men where they're constantly he's worried about it and everything, but like something where because that would be like jarring, like you go under ice and then like basically everyone you've ever known is either dead or like really old and like life has moved on without you. Basically that would be like a really harsh thing to try to adjust to.
And I think they really sold it well in this, and I think it's underrated in the sense that I think people underestimate this aspect of it. That's in both cuts, to be fair, too. Like I brought up to Stephen Tolkin how, hey, you were kind of influential on the MCU one because you also had a connection between Captain America's origin and Red Skull's origin through the same serum. And the scene with Colonel Lewis in the VA hospital did remind me of Captain America and the Winter Soldier, where he visits older Peggy and she like phases out and forgets who he is for a bit. I'm like, oh, like
that's a good point.
I don't know if they had seen this scene beforehand, but it's an awfully similar scene. I
feel like they had to, right? Because like that's the same, like Where's Soldier? That's the same with like the joke about the car. I feel like they had to at least have one of them had to have seen it once or something, or at least the script writer had to see it once for them to include little like inside jokes like that in there.
Yeah. So
like, this isn't just some obscure movie. Like this, people know about this. It's not. I know that you've seen like, and we could probably talk about this later too, but I know you've seen the other Captain America movies, right? Yeah. And this is definitely, I haven't seen those, but like from what I can tell, just even visually, this is a step up from those other ones.
It's absolutely a step up. I know a lot of people are just like, oh, this 1991 is terrible. And I'm like, it's got Captain America in a somewhat comic accurate suit in World War II fighting a Red Skull. That is more than what we got way beforehand. And it actually tries to tell a heartfelt story about it. If I tried watching the original 1979 Red Brown one with the motorcycle helmet, and I wasn't even expecting comic book accuracy. That's not my issue. With my issue was more that it was just boring as fuck. I was just like, he doesn't show up in the costume until the very end, and the character himself isn't really that interesting to.
Oh man, that sucks.
Warrant me to want to watch.
How about Christopher Lee? You had the master, Christopher Lee, in there.
He is in the second one. The second one.
Damn it.
Captain America 2 is much better in terms of the 1979 one. So there's two. We're talking about two TV movies with Reb Brown as Captain America. These were kind of the pseudo inspiration for James Gunn's Peacemaker. In terms of Peacemaker's kind of a spoof, like a fucked up R-rated parody of this, with like a guy with a patriotic themed thing and the motorcycle. Peacemaker gets a motorcycle in season 2. I wonder where that comes from. That comes from these, but yeah, the second one has Christopher Lee in the only time he's gotten to play a villain in live action. Is it the Red Skull? No, it's General Miguel.
Man, that would have been.
Yeah, I know.
These perfect layups that they have, and they're just like, nope, sorry, can't do it.
They did not deserve Christopher Lee in this. But yeah, it's Captain America 2, Death Too Soon. Much more interesting story. Much better villain with Christopher Lee. Much better story. I had a much better time with that one. You could almost just skip the first one, honestly, and just go to the second one. But yeah, that's why I'm
Does
just
he
like...
die in it? Does Captain America die in it? Is that why it's called Death Too Soon? Oh, okay. I thought we were doing the...
Christopher Lee's character, villain, has a serum that he's planning. This is actually somewhat creative on their part, because it's not just like, oh, it's a poison gas type of thing. It's a gas that ages you to death. So that's why it's death too soon. It makes people age rapidly.
That's kind of cool.
Death. which is kind of cool. It also, I didn't realize this, it has a small role for Alex Hyde White, the 1994 Mr. Fantastic. He's in it.
Nice.
Not as Mr. Fantastic. He didn't even have that part at the time. But
Can you
he has
headcanon it? Does he kind of look similar to him in there?
He
or-
does. He does. He just doesn't have
Nice.
the. Well, actually, his hair. Yeah, his hair. At first, I was just like, his hair color is all wrong. But I'm like, well, it does. It is
Squint.
1979 versus 1994, so it does
Yeah.
make sense. Yeah,
Good
so
work.
it could work if you try to connect them. Anyway, what I'm saying is, I think the original one, people give it way too much of a bad rap. Like, yeah, is it one where like it has amazing effects? No, like it is kind of still a little dodgy when it comes to the missile scene, because it's just like somehow
Yeah.
Captain America remembers this kid years
He
later. And
takes the missile.
the kid gets a good enough picture of him to hold on for years and years. I'm like, dude, the thing
It's the
it was
middle
a
of the
blink and you
night.
miss it type of thing. It's the middle of the night. There's no way you got a picture of that with a 1940s camera.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, there's no way. But there's a heart and soul to it. It's always been there. That's why I'm just like, yes, this Pyun Cut does expand on Steve.
Some of the stop
traveling with
motion
the
is
amount
good.
of time.
I'll give
Yeah.
it that. Some of that stuff, like the rat or something, where they're experimenting. That thing looks pretty
That was
cool.
too. That was cool
Yeah.
too. Yeah. No, Pyun did amazing when it comes to having a lower budget and doing the best he could with it, because it was really about the soul of the characters. That's what we keep coming to when it comes to these lower budget 90s older things. Is like, if you have the soul of the character, then I don't really care that he's got rubber ears. Just like if you have the soul of the character, I don't really care that he's got rubber nipples.
Originally, what the thing, I watched the video,
Oh.
originally they had the cutouts on the side for his ears, but his ears
Yeah.
kept chafing, and so they
Yeah.
just like attached like the rubber ears onto his actual suit, basically.
Here's my hot take on this. I don't know how good that would have looked if it was his real ears.
It looks awkward. There are some things, and I hate to say it like this, but there are some things that work better as a drawing versus like translating it to screen. Like you got to kind of do like some stuff looks good, when you draw it like, or it's animated, but if you saw that in live action, you just start laughing like immediately. Like I don't know. There's some things that people want with like some of the suits, and even like some of the Marvel stuff. Like somehow they made this look good, like with the Submariner with like his little winged feet and everything. But like, you think about that, that's such a ridiculous like concept and everything. Like it works because they shot it a certain way. There's just the MCU and the Ultimates had the right idea, where they made that just a helmet and everything. I think that's the direction you go. Like props for them for trying, but that's one of those moments where I'm like, it's goofy as hell in the comics too. Like, why is his ears like cut out on the outside of the mask?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I know people say the rubber ears bother me. I'm just like, I honestly think it would have looked cheaper if it was his real ears. That's my thing. Like, I think it actually would have looked worse. So I think they actually made the right call.
Yeah.
To be honest, maybe
wanted to do the
I'm thinking it
scale.
wrong.
He wanted to do the scale.
Oh yeah.
And Marvel was like, no, and I was like, what? Like that's what he originally wanted to do.
That's weird. But yeah, the seeds of this story with Steve, they're in the theatrical version. It's not like with the Batman Forever work print cut, the Schumacher cut, that whole subplot gets completely changed between that and the theatrical. So I get that, where I'm just like, okay, his repressed memories are completely changed. The theatrical one makes it seem like he forgot why he became Batman. I'm like, that's yes and no. It's not quite like, oh, you forgot why you fell into the cave and saw the bat. In this one, it's like, okay, this expands on what's already there. And so I think people like, yes, this does deserve the credit for having those scenes, but let's give props to the original in having like the seeds of all this are planted in there. It's not like this just comes out of nowhere. Like it's always been in that original cut. So that's been always there, and so has the Red Skull's origin. And so that's something that I want to, when we get back from the break, we're going to cover the Red Skull origin and how that affects the ending, because we have a whole new ending to this one that I really want to talk about, because it's a fascinating look when you compare the two different cuts for like the last 5 minutes. So we'll basically catch you with that after the break. Hey guys, every month you get a new episode of Superhero Stuff You Should Know. Isn't that right, Alex?
That's right, Ben.
Yeah. But what if you could get more and support our show? So you can get an extra episode of our show per month if you support us on Patreon over at www.patreon.com/superherosYsk, where you mainly get the $5 tier or the $10 tier. On the $5 tier, you'll get your name shouted out at the end of the episode from Alex himself in a Stickley voice, or maybe some other voice. We'll see what happens with this episode.
That's right, Ben.
What the hell is going on here?
What the hell is going on here?
You also
listen up, he's gonna tell you.
We'll also have early access for you to all our videos and episodes if you're part of the $5 tier. You'll also get an exclusive episode each month for that tier. So an exclusive episode could be about a deeper dive into a novelization. We've covered the Alan Grant Jr. novelization for Batman Forever on there. We can also cover comics or alternate history of comics. We've done like the what if in terms of what if Jason Todd had survived a death in the family. We have reviews. We sometimes cover news. We sometimes do deeper dives into smaller things. We had a whole 2.5-hour episode on each of the characters who showed up in the mural of the Hall of Justice in James Gunn's Superman. Though I gotta say, that's probably like our highest viewed Patreon episode, looking at the views there. Yeah. Or it's the same guy who just couldn't get enough of our talk about the Ghost of Flanders. You know who you are. So on the $10 monthly meetup, you'll get to meet and chat with Alex and me about all the latest superhero news, movies, TV shows. This is a virtual meetup in a Zoom setting that we usually have on like a Wednesday night.
It's not in person.
Sit down and talk about it. It's not in person. Sorry, we can't fly us all over there. You got to pay a lot more to the Patreon to do that. And in some ways, the other perks you get on the $10 tier is you get to influence the show in some ways. We give you sometimes the options of a poll to vote on things like thumbnails or even what episodes to cover. And you also get the opportunity to submit questions for future guest interviews that are in the StreamYard setting that we're doing, where we have enough time to cover everything. So if this is an interview episode you're listening to or watching right now, there's probably some Patreon patrons who were able to submit some questions for this one. So check it out. And if you want to help us out, but you can't afford an ongoing monthly Patreon subscription, totally understand. That's okay too, because we're also selling collections of Patreon exclusive series. These are playlists of the $5 tier episodes curated by myself that are kind of sold individually. You don't have to sign up for a subscription. You can just have a one-time donation, and you can have it per each playlist that you want to get. We have playlists of deeper dives into things like the Tim Burton Batman films, of course, one of our specialties. We've got the movie magazines for Batman 89 and Batman Returns. We covered those. We also have an episode-by-episode deep dive into the Penguin Show. If you love that show too, like I did.
How much does it cost, Ben? $100?
$200? $100 per episode. No, it's not $100. It's more like $12 for the entire thing.
That's a bargain.
Yeah, for what used to be months and months of Patreon episodes, I put them all together for you just for $12 or so. So you can just donate $12 and get all that content and not have to worry about a monthly subscription. So check that out. And Alex says that it's a bargain, and he would know because he also, before he became co-host, used to be a fan who was a Patreon patron who was donating and he was an audience who was part of those episodes. So thank you, Alex. Now, what if you like the show, but you don't just want more content? You want something, tangible, something to hold in your hand, something that you could even wear. Well, you want some merch, and we have that too. As you can see, I'm wearing this Quick Change Bruce Wayne shirt resembling the Kenner action figure that was famous, that a lot of you guys, I know you're a superhero stuff you should know type audience. Either you're listening to it or you're somebody who's a good candidate for it if you recognize this shirt in the wild and ask, where did you get that shirt? So we can tell you, here's where you can get that shirt. This is an exclusive Superhero Stuff You Should Know styled shirt designed by a fan of the show, Cole Watkins. Very talented artist. He helped design this. This is a special Superhero Stuff You Should Know version. As you can see, the red bat says Superhero SYSK, but it does not mess with the overall quick change Bruce Wayne dynamic that you see here. This shirt not only resembles the action figure, but also has been worn by a Batman. Yes, it's been worn by former guest of the show, Carl Newman, who is the movement double for Michael Keaton in Batman 89 in the suit. And he brings the action figure to life here, looking like he's right outside Wayne Manor, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's just chilling out. Good. Yeah. So, and then all the comments, of course, all want one. So if you want one of your own, go to our TeePublic link in the description. go to the link there. You can scroll down. You'll see a variety of different options you can have. It doesn't just have to be this long sleeve shirt, though most people will go for that because it resembles the Michael Keaton action figure the most. But you can also get this design on t-shirts, stickers, mugs, and at the same time, you could also get the same stuff from the logo that Dan designed. Yes, our new logo from Dan of Superhero Stuff You Should Know. You can get that type of merch on TeePublic on the same types of things, either tank tops, hoodies, mugs, stickers, hats. They're all on there on the TeePublic, as well as merch for my comics, Alter Ego, and Musashi and Son. So any of these will help basically the show, and it's money that you pay that does not go into us spending it on batarangs or things like that, or this grappling gun and that type of stuff. It goes to paying Dan for the work he does for us. He's our producer, our editor. He does a lot for us on here, and the money goes to him as well as goes to the StreamYard subscription that we use that enables us to record in this way. So please get yourself some more of our show, get yourself some merch, and support us if you can.
And remember, you gotta have your Superhero Stuff You Should Know merch while you're watching Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
That's right. It's not a Superhero Stuff You Should Know episode without a Superhero Stuff You Should Know ball cap.
That's okay. They can get it next time, Ben.
And we're back. So, Red Skull time. First off, we have an extra dark scene that gets thrown in here with the gardener. Would you like to? Like to talk about that?
I remember telling you about this. Yeah,
I told about this before I had seen it, so I was prepared. But I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I was like, I also did like preface it by being like, it is dark, but also it's one of those things where like they shoot it a kind of way where it's just kind of like dark humor. But like he like the Red Skull has like this kind of mind control thing going on. And he tells like the gardener, like there's like this kid or something that he tells him to kill with like the shears or something like that. And then he's like, all right, whatever you say. And then it cuts back and he's just like trimming stuff and like the shears are like blood soaked and everything. And the way I'm describing it, it still is dark, but the way whatever you're picturing in your head is like probably way darker than what the actual see. It is dark, don't get me wrong, but like don't go in thinking you're gonna see something like The Crow or something like that level of dark. Like it's a dark scene, but not that dark is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. But it does highlight the evilness of the Red Skull. I could see why the studio was like, yeah, that's too much. We got to cut that. That's R-rated material, because he literally like basically makes the gardener decapitate his son with the shears. I'm like, Jesus. But it just goes to show the level of depravity that is within the Red Skull. So
what do you think of his face, by the way? Like how they choose to, it's very 89, isn't it? Like with the like how they have the flesh tone thing, like with his like the
especially
whole disguise.
When he's the first time you see him in the theatrical one in modern day, he's in a conference room surrounded by other mobsters, and he's at the front with like a fucked up face. I'm like, yeah, this does feel very 89.
The poster, the original poster with the shield.
Yeah,
very 89. Like with the shield. The marketing. Yeah,
that's true. I think Stephen Tolkin had at the time said that the purpose was so that the audience wouldn't be forced to look at this horrible skull face the whole time. But I think they were underestimating comic book fans who are just like, no, we want to pay money to see that ugly skull face the entire time, which is also why the makeup isn't completely skull-like. He's just kind of a guy with a fucked up red face as opposed to a skull. But this was my first.
He has a red nose. I remember seeing it, and I'm like, you gotta kind of like the
Rudolph.
budget. Yeah, it's like it's somebody described him like Jigsaw, like a little bit. Like I could see that too. I don't know. He does look kind of monstrous, but like it's one of those things too where I think if they were to do it, it probably looks something like a red version of the Masters of the Universe with
that too.
How Skeletor looks. Like it would probably be something like that if they were to attempt it.
Yeah. I think again, Red Skull was first introduced to me through this movie. as I told Stephen Tolkin
Oh,
in
wow.
the interview. Yeah, well, Captain America, technically, I was first introduced to through this movie.
Wait, he's not Italian? Like,
I
you
kinda-
start reading something else.
well, that to be fair, right? I don't think I even remembered whether he was Italian or not. I just remembered the opening. Kid whose witnesses his parents get killed. And again, this is after I've already seen Batman 89. So I'm just like, oh shit, this is like another Batman 89 type of thing, except instead
Is that Captain America?
he becomes the villain. And it just always stuck with me, that opening with the kid who loses his parents and the piano, because I grew up playing the piano too, and then the ending being
The
Cap
machine
playing
gun
that
fire
recording.
too.
Yeah, and then Cap playing that recording for him at the end,
Yeah.
and bringing him back to how he was, where I think, I mean, might be wrong with chronology. This might be the first time I was really introduced to a villain having a tragic origin, because I was like, I'd seen
Really?
Batman have his parents get killed, and then he becomes Batman, right? And then, what's the villain's origin? Well, he falls into a vat of chemicals. But he's always an A1 nut job. I'm like, all right, whatever. But then I was like, oh, the villain can come from that too. Like, that can create a villain as well. And I don't think I really, I think that's why it stuck with me so much, is that the power of that origin. And it's all from Stephen Tolkin. It's not in the comic at all, which is why I had to give him props for that when we met in the interview, because that's the most memorable thing to me about this movie is not the rubber ears with Captain America. It's not any really of the cheesiness. It's the most serious shit of it, which is the Red Skull's origin. It's what happens to him with his family. And I was floored by the fact that there was actually so much more there that I didn't realize, and that comes up in this version, where it becomes a more major part of it. In the theatrical, you see it, but then you don't really see a connection with him and the piano until literally at the end, when he's running off with a machine gun and there's randomly a piano at the top of his tower, and you're just like, what the hell? But here, there's more. Again, if you ground it in some sort of psychological motivation, some of the weirdest shit, you can get away with some of the weirdest shit, because it's like, oh, well, it's due to XYZ reasons. And here, that piano is not like shoved off to the side and then suddenly brought up randomly at the end with the tower.
It comes up from the ground, like you see sometimes in like theaters or something. It's like, okay.
Honestly, that would make more sense, because I'm just like, what if it rains? As somebody who used to play piano, I'm like, dude, if that one rainstorm and that piano's dead, DeSantis. So yeah,
he plays it and it sounds terrible. They're like, Cap's like, oh, I'm gonna
and
leave.
he really wants to blow up the world at that point.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Cap's just covering up his rubber ear. It's like, oh no.
So one of the major differences between the two cuts is the treatment of the story. And it's really interesting, because you kind of have to see both movies to get the full story. And what I mean by that is that if you've seen the original theatrical cut, some of the story is Steve trying to figure out who is the Red Skull, and going to the village in Italy and getting the recording of what happened that night. And then Sharon getting the recording, and also in some way Sharon proving herself that Steve needs her throughout that story, because like he tries to abandon her with the whole like, I think I'm going to be sick type of thing.
Like, oh no.
And then she's like, oh, by the way,
baby.
I know Italiano. So
Yeah.
she proves herself.
I liked her more in this version, by the way. I thought she was great.
I think, no. Just a side tangent. Most underrated MVP of this, because I'm just like, look, we've given, I think a lot of the acting props go to the veterans here with Ronnie Cox and Ned Beatty. Scott Pollin's great as Red Skull. Matt Salinger is the original, Steve, like really earnest, good, sincere Steve Rogers. But the most underrated player to me is Kelly Gillingham as Bernie / older Bernie / Sharon, because she has a triple role.
Yeah, it's true.
And she does all of them believably, to the point where you don't even really realize what she's doing. Like, she plays the 1940s girlfriend, and then obviously plays the older version, but she's also playing Sharon, who is so different, who is very much from the 80s / 90s, depending on which scene you're looking to. It says like, we're back in 1993, but then there's a whole scene where she's like, it's the 80s. I'm like, well, apparently not.
Yeah.
But that's not the actress's fault. But she plays the differences so well, and it's the closest that we're going to get in live action to the original comics, where for those who don't know, because this is obviously not in the MCU, Sharon Carter is supposed to resemble Peggy Carter. Like Sharon Carter, the modern day relative to Cap's old love interest from the war, is supposed
There's
to
a
be
moment in Ultimates like this. There's another, calling back to Ultimates. There's another moment exactly like this where he goes and visits his like sweetheart from like years ago. But like instead of seeing, it might even be Bucky that he meets like in the present, because Bucky in that one isn't anything. Like he's just like someone that worked with them. But in that one he goes to meet her and like he sees his friend and it's like, oh dude, it's too painful for her. And then you just see like a shot of like his love, except she's really old. She's just crying, like looking out the window and everything. Like there's a moment like this in the comics, which is kind of cool.
Mark Miller did watch this movie.
Yeah, he's a big fan apparently.
It's funny because like for years these types of movies have this reputation, but then you're just like, well, hold on a second. If this was actually influential, then why are people shitting on it? Like this led to so many things that we're used to seeing now. But anyway, with the story in the theatrical version, what I really liked about the ending is part of Steve defeating the Red Skull is also sort of outthinking him. It's him knowing, okay, if I get to play the recording, then I know that's going to get to him and distract him long enough for me to get to the shield, and that plays a big role.
Does he decapitate him in this version?
No.
Oh, okay, that's the vibe I got.
It almost seemed in the theatrical one. It almost seems like he decapitates the daughter.
Yeah, I saw. I was like, "Oh, what?" I was like, "Hold on,
I know that part. I'm glad was cut. That's not in the Albert Pyun cut, but yeah, in the theatrical one, it plays a big role in defeating him at the end. In the Pyun cut, what really fascinated me, because we're in Italy and I'm expecting some of the same scenes, but then I'm just like, the Italy stuff doesn't quite feel the same. Why is that? And I realized like, oh, they never got the recording. They don't go to the village. They don't go to the place where.
That's right.
Yeah, they don't go to a place and they're not really investigating who is this guy in that version. They're just here to rescue the president, and avenge her mom. So I was like, wait, so if there's no recording, how are they going to defeat this guy at the end? And that's what leads to the big difference, right? Is that here instead, so in the theatrical one, Red Skull has the detonator for this bomb, and Cap has to defeat him so that the bomb doesn't go off. I guess presumably there's some connection between Red Skull being alive and the detonator going on, because my only issue with the theatrical one is that he's got the detonator in his hands. Cap tosses, the shield. He falls off, but I'm like, what about the detonator? Like,
what detonator? All of a sudden he's like, oh, I fucked it up.
the joke is that like the movie ends the way it does in the theatrical, where he's just holding not burning Sharon, because the castle just blows up afterwards with everybody in it because he forgot to disable a detonator. But
the detonator.
Oh shit! And then boom.
Oh
then
fuck!
There will be no Captain America 2. But
Captain America will not return.
Yeah. But in the Pyun cut, there is no bomb. You hear the detonator for like a little bit in the editing, but there's no bomb at all. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And so it's almost like Red Skull knows, because there's a line that carries over with like, did you really expect to take me alive? And I think the intention is Red Skull knows. Mission. Yeah, he knows, okay, like Cap is going to defeat me. I know that he's going to capture me. And that since he's in his dying moments, that's when he chooses to finally play the piano, after an entire subplot throughout this Pyun cut, where the piano doesn't just randomly shows up, it actually shows up throughout, and he's just it's too painful for him to sit down and actually play it. He always goes to the piano but never actually plays it. But here in his final moments, again, just fantastic little moment here when Red Skull looks around and he's like, ah, what a beautiful evening, before he starts playing. I was like, oh man, because that's what does that really mean? That really means like, what a beautiful evening to die, and that's such a poignant moment. And he plays it. And then what floored me is like, he finishes playing and he turns to his daughter and he says, I love you. And I was like, okay, what other comic book movie has a villain whose arc is learning to just say "I love you" to his daughter before he lets himself get killed by the hero. I was like, I don't know. Maybe there's some movie I'm forgetting, but I was like, this is insane.
Spy Kids 3 had a pretty sympathetic villain in it,
I didn't see it, but
oh man,
you know what I mean?
Sylvester Stallone, career best.
This is it floored me from the emotional standpoint.
Yeah, definitely.
It did floor me, but like I said, I think you have to watch both versions to get the full thing, because there are definitely some aspects about one versus the other that I think I would love to see a hybrid cut that somehow makes it all work together, because I feel like I missed the recording. And the reason why I missed the recording is because that's Cap's main way of defeating Red Skull in this movie. Otherwise, Cap kind of just becomes the guy who throws the shield and then defeats him.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's kind of how it is, because here, like, Cap's listening as he plays the music, but the problem is Cap in the Pyun Cut doesn't know that Red Skull was a piano prodigy. So why does he doesn't know the significance of the music? To him, he's just Red Skull's just randomly playing the piano and he's waiting it out. And I was like, dude, if it was if we could find the other stuff in, then like he would know and maybe let Red Skull have his moment or something or something like that. But yeah, there's just things where I'm just like, I missed the recording. Like in the theatrical version, his daughter listens to the recording and she has the solemn moment knowing that's the origin of her father. And in the Pyun Cut, there is no recording. Valentina is just kind of randomly standing there sad at the stairwell. And I was like, well, why are you sad? There's nothing. There's nothing.
We get more with the doctor in this version too, where you kind of just see her like and all the stuff that she was involved in, and just have a deep feeling of regret that she has for like the role that she played and everything. Like we get more of that in this version, where like in the other version, like in the first Avenger, I don't think that like it's that like that deep basically. Like
no, I didn't get that.
I do like that version. Like that version is great too. Like I love Stanley Tucci, how he plays that role, and I think he does an amazing job in making that sympathetic and everything. But I think this one is much more kind of there's a parallel arc a little bit where like her and Cap are trying to prove themselves after like some failures basically, and like in their eyes like getting a lot wrong. They're trying to do something good for once basically.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotion to that, and you feel that the moment that she shows up and she objects to this boy getting experimented on. When at least when you first see her chronologically in the theatrical moment, I'm like, oh, this character comes to life a lot, considering how little screen time she has. And I do remember Stanley Tucci's character in First Avenger, but I don't remember this level of
like
guilt.
tragedy.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is in there, but it was definitely still in this original version, even in the theatrical 1990 original version. So definitely. I think again, I do like that we have this new cut. But I do think that a lot of people have used it as a reason to kind of shit on the original. And I'm kind of like, guys, a lot of the stuff that you like about this new one is still in the original. Like it's always been there. Like maybe take a rewatch of what's been in there. This does expand it. This does improve on certain things. But I do have to defend the original because I'm just like, it's still there. Like it's still there.
Yeah, I mean, Cap does work at like Joe's Gym or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's
okay, let's talk about that. Yeah, so he's like, I heard you have a job, and I was like, no way. When I saw that it cuts to Gold's Gym, and he's this janitor and in a Gold's Gym uniform type of thing, vacuuming around all these people who he can probably outlift everybody here.
Yeah,
he can probably outdo everybody here, but he's vacuuming around them. I'm like, this is insane.
I was like, all right.
I would love an obscure cosplay of somebody being Matt Salinger, Steve Rogers working at Gold's Gym from the Albert Pyun Cut. I would love to see that because that would be hilarious.
That was the deepest cut right there.
Man, especially if it's that specific Gold's Gym, because it can't just be any Gold's Gym. It's got to be the one that Matt Salinger's wearing in that scene.
We're the right one. We'll be watching.
We'll be on the lookout. Yeah, let us know or send us the pictures of your Steve Rogers Gold's Gym cosplay. But Yeah, the Red Skull stuff, I was like, I still love it. I love the new stuff, but also I'm like, again, it epitomizes how much I want to see. Like, just combine it, because it's if so much of this Pyun Cut is about Steve being like, I'm not going to blow it this time, and getting to defeat Red Skull, it kind of feels like that drops off in the final minutes, so that it focuses on Red Skull having his arc, and then Steve just kind of throws a shield and then he's gone, and then that's it. As opposed to the theatrical one where Steve has that role to play. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and if the triumphant music comes on, and sure, it's kind of cheesy, but it feels earned. It feels like a triumphant moment. And the ending to the Pyun Cut is very much around Red Skull, where it doesn't feel triumphant so much as it's sort of very sad and poignant.
Yeah.
And both work for what it is. I would be very curious to see what was in the original script. I've heard
me
there's
too.
reshoots of this ending, so maybe the detonator thing's completely new. I don't know.
Radio detonator.
Yeah. So, because I'm like, there's no way that there's. Is there a way where both versions end up happening at once? I don't know.
I'm sure there's a fan edit out there somewhere. Like I've seen, I know they immediately get struck down usually, but I've seen, I saw like a version of like Star Wars, like episode 3 one time, where they combined episode 1, 2, and 3 into like one film, and like no, it's episode 2 and 3 into one film, and kind of just streamlined it, where it's like the fall of a Jedi or something. Like there's, I'm sure there'll be a fan edit where they kind of, stick both of them together and like, toss out what doesn't work, basically.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing something like that. And I'm sure I haven't seen one yet. I know there's a bunch of fan edits of Superman 2 as well that try to combine stuff. So then, my ideal Superman 2 is probably out there in some fan edit form. I just haven't seen it yet.
Not with that weird speeding guard though. That shit was so dumb. I remember I saw the Donner cut first, so that was the version I like. But then when you go to like Krypton and the other version, I was like, I think it's either that or it's the TV edit. There's one version where like you see like this dude with like this visor, and like he almost looks like he's wearing like a nuclear like testing suit or something like that. You just see him like speeding down this corridor. I'm like, what the hell am I watching right now? Like I was looking at it, I was like, no.
That's
no.
probably
Like I didn't like it.
The Lester cut. I don't know. But yeah, I think the ideal cut is out there to have both. I know, again, Pyun seemed to really want to play around with time with this one.
Yeah.
It creates some interesting discussion. So let us know, guys, what you think. But to me, it's very much like a Donner cut type of situation.
Well, you thought it was amazing. I hear you. I understand.
Yes. Big thanks to some of our supporters. Drew Griffin was there in attendance at this event where we did the interview of Stephen Tolkin. So we had a good crowd. They enjoyed it. Similar to Fantastic Four 1994, they got laughs at the times that where things might have been cheesy. The way that Red Skull falls kind of always gets a laugh at the very end, even though it's supposed to be a very poignant moment. But just the ragdoll effect as he tumbles over and
it's
over.
It's like the old
again.
Spider-Man thing I showed you. The Spider-Man. I have some bootlegs of the. I mean, I have some official copies of the Spider-Man 70s show where like you just see like someone fall off the side of a building, and you just see like the arms are just like stretched out like that. It's just not convincing at all. Like I hear you.
So, but yeah, it was a good night. It was a good crowd, and as you overheard in the interview, we will be back to CineFile January 23rd, Friday, January 23rd. We'll be back to CineFile, a special Friday night 9:00 Q&A and showing of Punisher 1989, the work print cut, Alex's favorite Punisher movie. We'll definitely be doing.
I have all 3 of them.
Oh yeah. So we'll do a discussion, but at CineFile, it'll be a Q&A with Kim Miori, who played Lady Tanaka, the villain.
Nice.
Movie. And then afterwards, we'll do a similar thing to what we did here, where we'll talk about, the work print cut versus the other cuts of Punisher 89 and the development of that movie and all sorts of other stuff. So our partnership with CineFile is going to continue alive and well. So let's see. I do have a few things before I plug CineFile. I do want to acknowledge a couple unfortunate passings that happened this year. We talked about this in our Patreon, but I thought we should do this for our main show. So
that's too bad.
on the left, as you can see, is Carl Sharfalio, who was the stuntman who donned the prosthetics for The Thing in the 1994 Fantastic Four movie that we've covered.
Kind
Not
of
to be
looks like
confused.
Ben Grimm right there, like the one with
Kind of.
the where he's got
Yeah.
the little goatee right there. I could see it,
Yeah.
like
So
pre-transformation.
he's not to be confused with Michael Bailey Smith, who was on our show and played Ben Grimm and voiced The Thing. Carl was only in the suit. He was the stuntman. He was a stuntman for many, many years, as well as an actor. If you've seen the documentary, you know he was in Casino as the guy whose head is in a vice with Joe Pesci. We promoted his GoFundMe a few times to help out with his health issues, and unfortunately, it sounds like he succumbed to his health issues earlier this year. But I am told that when his end did come, it was after he was able to say goodbye to his friends and family, and I
That's
think
good.
that is as good of an ending as we can all hope for. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm at least taking comfort in that, and have reached out to the Fantastic Four family that we've been, that we have a relationship with, to offer our condolences on the loss of Carl.
I've
On
never
the right,
noticed this before, but like his well, one of the things I did, again, not to call back to Mallrats or anything, but there's like a joke with like the Thing where like he asked Brody asked Stan Lee if like the Thing has like a dick or something like that, and then this version finally has an answer, and he's smooth like Ken,
very smooth, yes.
down there. No wonder he's so angry. But like the other thing is like, never noticed this. It's probably for the actor. His hands and feet are very small compared to like the rest of his body. Like when you kind of look at it, like it's kind of like I'm sure it's to help out the actor, but you think his hands and feet would be bigger for like the like just the proportions and
Maybe.
everything.
I mean, the way that they look like they might be waiting for another piece.
That's fair. Yeah, that's
You know?
probably what it is. You're probably right.
That's probably what it. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
So thanks, Dan, for pulling up the pictures of Carl. And then on the right, you guys might be wondering, okay,
Ooh.
what is that for? And so that is to honor the artist who did that, who is the great Drew Struzan, known as the greatest artist for movie posters. Huge,
Oh, yeah.
huge influence on Zachary Jackson Brown, one of our former co-hosts. And at one point, he did a Batman poster, but not for a movie, but the blue and gray Batman that we see here. And a blog that's called Shazamaholic blog used this image to talk about the Tom Mankiewicz 1980s script for the Batman. And so you can see how this came about, because I think basically that became the thumbnail for our episode, the Batman script from 1982,
Hey.
deep dive that many of you guys saw as an introduction to us, including Alex.
Yeah, that's how I discovered you guys. Nice.
So that's from this Drew Struzan thumbnail, and probably because Shazamaholic used this on the blog post about it. So it kind of just seemed like a good idea to continue that image. But because it looks like, Batman of the 80s. So I think that's why that's there. But yes, Drew Struzan, we do owe that image to him, along with so many other memories, great posters of Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Back to the Future. You pointed out to me he did Back to the Future. I forgot about that.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, some great work. Great work.
Yeah. Nice.
So big thanks to CineFile. CineFile Video, the place that we've teamed up with this year. It's been a big year in 2025. We brought Alex on board. We have a big changeover in the show, and now we have this new partnership with CineFile that, as you can see from the inside, looks like a Criterion Collection, the Criterion Closet, mixed with old school Blockbuster. And it's the last independent movie rental store in Los Angeles. It is in the Sawtelle area. And if you're in the LA area and you're fortunate to live in that area, please consider stopping by and even becoming a member. You can rent both versions of Captain America 1990 there. Yes, you can rent the original theatrical cut as well as their copy of the Blu-ray. You can rent the 1994 Fantastic Four movie from there. I got a bunch of Musashi movies as research for my Musashi and Son manga. So definitely consider signing up, and as well as helping to donate at cinephilevideo.com/donate. They handle physical media. They have discs of movies that you can't find on streaming, like, again, Captain America 1990. There's always a chance the disc is going to get damaged or chipped or broken, but with donations, that can help continue to restore and have more discs available. So please consider donating at cinefilevideo.com/donate. Be a superhero and contribute to one of our friends. And on top of that, if you're not in LA, but you're still interested in what CineFile has to offer, they do have an online component. So
Ooh.
this is what I've talked to them. We've partnered up. The Cinevault.com is the online version of CineFile where you can buy physical media discs from them and use our discount code. We have a discount code with them. You can get 15% off using the promo code SuperheroStuffYouShouldKnow. That's SuperheroStuffYouShouldKnow to get 15% off. You can get all sorts of good stuff. As you can see here, we already have Brazil, Doctor Strangelove, For All Mankind, the TV show of Joel Kinnaman, Princess Bride, rest in peace, Rob Reiner, Mulholland Drive, all the greats on there. And there's a big search function. You can search by title, actor, director. You can even, I tried this, search by tropes or like just general description of like dark mystery. Like you can find stuff like that. So that's how they've designed their search function. So definitely check that out if you're interested in seeing, especially, I mean, when this comes out, this might be a little too late for your Christmas shopping, but if you had some extra cash from your aunt or something like that you want to spend, or a nice holiday bonus, and you want to get some rare movie or finally own this one copy of this or that, check out the Cinevault at cinevault.com. Use the promo code superhero15, get 15% off.
Nice. Cool.
Nice. So last thanks for everybody who were involved in this event. Big thanks to Leander Nicholson from Believe Land. He's my manager. He got me in touch with Stephen Tolkin to do the interview and provided pizza for the guests over at the screening. And big thanks to Vanessa Perea at CAA, who got us in contact with Stephen directly so that we'd be able to do this. Also, Thank you to Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Video from Ken Williams over there. They are the ones who you can buy the Albert Pyun Cut from. And they are the rights holders of Albert's different cuts. And they granted CineFile permission.
The Pyuniverse.
To screen the film. Yeah, the Pyuniverse comes from Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Video. They have plans to release other cuts of Albert's other movies. Nice. And they provided permission for CineFile to screen the film, and as well as made an arrangement to send over copies. And, I bought mine from them, and I think everyone else bought a bunch from there too.
Oh yeah, I got my copy from them.
Yeah, and they're the only place where you can get the copy from them.
Yeah.
So I want guys, keep in mind, Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Video, that's Albert Pyun's widow and friends of his family. So it's not like this is some major corporation that just happens to have the rights to send this out or whatever. This is a smaller business type of thing. It's another CineFile type place that has the rights to be able to do this. Please support them. Get a copy of the film. If you want to watch the film, please support them and buy a copy. And so that's Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Video. Thank you, Ken, for allowing and giving permission for the screen the film over at CineFile in LA. And then big thanks to the CineFile crew themselves. You got Sebastian Matthews, the owner, who I've spoken to personally. Great guy. James, the marketing manager. Louis Samra, and scheduling us in and arranging with me in terms of the scheduling of this, of when we're going to do our different screenings. And of course, a big thanks to Nick Hines, who we've mentioned before. He's the one manning the cameras and the audio. He's basically become a part of the Superhero Stuff You Should Know live crew once again for that. So big thanks to all of you guys for making this happen and allowing this, this coming together, this meeting of the minds of us and Stephen Tolkin for happening, and for the people at CineFile. So thank you.
Nice. Cool.
And with that is
wait,
stuff.
hold on.
Superhero stuff you should know. You go ahead.
I got a really quick thing, guys.
So better be worth it.
Yeah. So how long when did I join again this year? Like when was it exactly?
I believe it was April. I mean, I think we did the Daredevil Trial of the Incredible Hulk Daredevil episode. That was kind of like your backdoor pilot. That might have been March or April or so. Yeah.
Cool. So I wanted to say on the record, while everybody is here and listening, I wanted to thank I wanted to thank you, Ben, for inviting me onto this. This has been a great journey, great start to, being the co-host and everything. And I think that we've definitely grown this year. And also want to thank the fans for all of their positive feedback. It has not gone unnoticed. So yeah, just at the end of the year, would like to say that just everybody just hold on. We got like a lot of really great stuff waiting for you, and thank you for your support. And I just wanted on the record to thank you guys. This has been a really great journey, and thanks. It's been great, guys.
Thank you, Alex, for joining us, for being a part of this, and these great discussions we've been having in stuff like Captain America and all the other stuff that we know that we're preparing, that we know we're going to talk about in the future. So
yeah, cool.
And well, with that, that is superhero stuff you should know.
Superhero stuff you should know.
So big thanks to Dan, our producer and editor, for editing this with some help from Nick Hines provided some preliminary editing stuff with the raw footage before sending it over to us. But yeah, as usual, join us on our Patreon for a deeper dive where we're going to go more into the behind the scenes stuff that we have. And I have info on a previous Albert Pyun Captain America cut. That's not the one that we saw. It's just a little bit of info.
Whoa, that's news to me.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. Alex, I know that you've had a few new episodes on flashbacks, so I'll give you an opportunity to talk about that.
Yeah, so for the end of the year, me and Brady, we did not quite hit our goal, but that's okay. We'll get it next year. We did 2 episodes like recently, and we're in the Earth 2 stuff now. So if you guys remember that from season 2, yeah. So that's really fun. Just, like definitely like a lot of nostalgia and everything. Like it's been really great getting into that. And I don't know if you've ever had this before, Ben, but like it's probably because I'm taking such intensive notes now, but like I'll go back and be like, it's amazing how much I've forgotten about the Flash show where I'll be watching. I'm like, I even said the most recent episodes, like, damn, did I even watch this show? Like, I'll just be like seeing this. I'm like some of the characters, I'm like, Cisco's brother, Dante, where I'm just like, I remember in season 3 being like, who the hell's Dante? And then like watching season 2, and I'm like, he comes up so much, and like we're like, I must have not been watching the show that intensely back then. Like it's just funny rewatching and rediscovering that. So that's really cool. Also, Night of the Batman, we had a crossover recently with the Men of Steel guys covering Carl Kessel's part 2 of it, of Carl Kessel's World's Finest. Like part 1 would be on their channel, and then part 2 is on ours. So if you want the whole story, definitely check out both parts. But yeah, just great fun stuff getting to record with my wife Amanda. It's fun talking to her, but like when you go on the mic and recording, it's like it's a whole different kind of experience. So definitely go check that out. But that's it for me. But yeah, definitely go check that out, guys.
Awesome. On my end, we have a couple other projects before the end of the year to announce that I haven't had a chance to announce on the show before, which is I'm back in the Arkham tapes. That's the analog horror series on the Bat Feed YouTube channel. That's the Bat Feed for the Arkham tapes, where I was the voice now of Scarface the Dummy in the episode on the ventriloquist. So check that out. That's the third character after Ra's al Ghul and Batman who I got to voice. And it was a lot of fun for just a few lines, but it's a very creepy episode. But I'm also back, and I don't know when this is going to come out, but I'm also back as Batman in an episode that we've kind of teased with different footage with the introduction of Tim Drake to the universe of the Arkham tapes, where Tim is one of the more innocent characters who has not yet been, corrupted or touched and stuff. And maybe one of the last vestiges of hope in this world of the Arkham tapes. So really looking forward to that. Taylor Torres is the voice of Tim Drake in that. And
you guys have Damien in that universe or no?
Maybe.
Yeah.
If I'm not giving any spoilers in saying this. This is just speculation in on my end, but I'm just like, if Damien does come in, maybe I get to come back as Ra's al Ghul for some flashbacks.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, for those who know the Arkham tapes, my Ra's is dead. So I was like, I don't know if I'm ever coming back as Ra's, but I'm like, if there's ever a Talia episode or a Damien episode, we play a lot around with time in the Arkham tapes. But I mean that's all Jake's brainchild over at the Bat Feed. I just say the lines. There's a few things
I'm just
that-
there to act.
Yeah, no, there's a few things that he does my version of it. So like in Scarface, you hear me say, "What the fuck are you looking at?"
Yeah, I've seen that.
That was my variation on it. The original line was just, "What are you looking at?" But I
Yeah.
was just like, I threw it in. 'Cause I'm just like, fuck it, like
Yeah.
it's the Arkham tapes world, and so I threw the F-bomb in there, and then he went with that one. So that was fun. So yeah,
It's not new verse. New verse, you could say that get cut.
that would definitely get cut. So that's a new verse. Newverse Creative, or now
Ooh.
I guess has been renamed Newverse Media. We have a more family-friendly audience as we adapt different movies and superhero stuff to audio drama. So I co-wrote the adaptation of James Gunn's Superman into an audio drama. So for you guys who heard our 3-hour epic review of it, where I was just like, man, I wish there were certain character moments that got to breathe more. Hey, I got to.
Damn, we talked for 3 hours. I forgot.
That was
Wow.
our longest main show episode together. I think was Superman.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I was like, well, if I'm talking about all these things I wish we were in, and Tim's saying, hey, you want to do the Superman thing? I'm like, maybe it's time to add that in. So the advantage with these audio dramas is like we don't get to spend we don't have a ton of time to be like,
Yeah.
all right, like here's 5 minutes of Superman versus Ultraman. It's literally just like, okay, we need just a few lines of that because you can't see anything. So the character stuff does get emphasized. And then Tim was gracious enough to write a part for me before he even brought me on as writer, where he's like, since you do so many podcast stuff, I think you should be the pseudo glorious Godfrey character, Clevis Thornway. Don't worry, we don't turn him into Glorious Godfrey or anything. And he's still Clevis in this, but I do the voice of Clevis Thornway.
What a name.
Yeah, I know. It's not the one on my resume I'm going to necessarily advertise a bunch, but
You don't know me.
nice.
Clevis. Clevis.
Clevis and Clutted. So
I know him as the guy from the I Love the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Like those it was a VH1. I think they used to do that.
Maybe,
Michael in Black, like he used to be on those. That's how I know that guy.
Unlike the other ones where I'm Michael Keaton, I'm Val Kilmer. This is not an impression. I'm not doing Michael in Black for his voice. I'm just like, fuck it. I'm not.
How would you
I'm not
even
gonna
do
do
that? Like he's got
I
such
know,
like
I
a
don't
normal
know.
sounding voice.
I know, right? But I just kind of went for like, okay, it's me, but as if I was a political commentator type of like attitude about it. So that's what I did for that. So you can check that out now. And
Cool.
then for the holiday season, I don't know if this is going to be out by the time this episode is released. So I'm just going to say it now.
Ooh.
Newverse has a Christmas present for you guys. It is Sam Hamm's Batman 2, the unmade Batman Returns script made as an audio drama. And I'm back as the Michael Keaton Batman for that one. So
Not as Penguin.
I could try. I could do both. That's what happens when you choke.
Yeah.
Sophia.
Sophia.
Yeah. But yeah, not the wrong type of penguin for that one. But yeah, we're doing the Batman 2. He previously had done it as just like an audio book with a narrator, but this one has a voice cast to it. And I think he had always wanted to do that. But it's no secret that for a while Tim didn't have a Michael Keaton Batman voice for a little bit, so that's probably why he didn't do it until now with a voice cast. So we wanted that out in time for the holidays. I recorded it last week, and I don't know when it's going to come out. Hopefully in time for the holiday season and stuff, and maybe before this is even out. But definitely want to plug that because that's such a big. Those unmade Batman scripts are such a big part of our show that I do have to like bring that up. So yeah, looking forward to hearing the full thing of that because I only know my stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome.
Cool.
Let's go into the comments. I'll read the first one. So let's see. Ben, you did a wonderful job hosting the event, which was the LA Comic-Con panel. This version of the Riddler really doesn't get enough credit for how dark he is. Yes, I think you and I both agree on this, Alex.
Yeah.
This is, in my opinion, Jim Carrey's greatest performance. Okay, interesting. No one has to agree with me, but his Riddler is still very underappreciated. I do definitely agree with that. His greatest performance, I don't know, because there's so many great ones. I'm like,
yeah.
I'd say he's misunderstood. I don't think the film's missing scenes are needed for Bruce to have an arc. So this is interesting. I included this because it kind of parallels what we were talking about with the Captain America stuff. The flashback in the film provides a symbolic imagery that doesn't require actually reading the diary. The bat's meaning is a given for what it represents. Bruce spilling his guts to Chase and Alfred works well enough for a revelation. It all concludes with Bruce symbolically reliving the night his parents were murdered and saving his newfound family.
Yeah.
So you can say that. I don't think it fulfills the same purpose as the original subplot, but does it fulfill the purpose of embracing being both Bruce Wayne and Batman? I think yes.
It makes more sense once you know the added context with like the red leather book. Like it's you know, like it's. So I remember like hearing that as a kid and just kind of being like, all right, like you know, like you just kind of roll with it. Like in the scene, like you're just because immediately it just like he changes subjects to talk about like something else. But I just remember that being like, okay, but like what's up with that book though? Because like he doesn't really ever say why he brought the book up. Like he just brings up that his father kept a journal and that's basically it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even that moment where Alfred points out to Bruce that, you know, you said I killed them.
Yeah.
I was like, that always struck me as a kid, but then it's just like forgotten for the rest of the movie. I'm like, well, that's weird. I guess it's just because he feels, you know.
Well, you should have seen the cut I watched. There was the whole beginning part cut out. I remember him saying like the Stickley suicide, and I think the copy I had bad was so I just heard like the computer generated forgery. I didn't even hear like the suicide part. Maybe they censored the word suicide out of it because it was like a TV version. Because I remember watching it and I don't remember. I said or Stickley and I didn't hear the other part, but like it was one of those where I'm like, the hell are they talking about? Like I remember as a kid, sure, whatever. Like Batman's
you weren't
doing like
the magic of Stickley until later, until you saw the full thing.
Oh man, it's I was robbed. I was deprived of seeing that amazing acting on screen. Stickley, come on the show, man. I mean, Ed Bagley Jr. Damn it, come on the show.
All right. Well, I saved this one for you. Guess who Alvarez 1 is?
Oh, Ruben.
Yes.
That's always. Oh my. Here we go. Thank you guys so much for the shout out. Cool that you, Alex and Eric, Elliott, and Triple Threat Comics, Ian Miller, and Newverse Chris. That's a lot of names. Chris, Tim Maxwell talked about Batman Enigma. God damn it, my casting for Riddler and Scarecrow, Johnny Depp as Riddler, and Robert Englund or Jeff Goldblum as Scarecrow. What are we? Yeah, that's you know what. That's good. You know, I don't hate the Scarecrow one, but Robert Englund. Okay, I mean,
is it
I guess
too on the nose?
See that?
Is it too on the nose in the sense that I was like, okay, he plays another character in a hat with?
I mean, he did play Riddler in the Batman, like the animated series. To be fair, and he did a pretty good job there. But
I think he voices him.
We can talk about other stuff here, Ruben. It doesn't always have to be like your fan cast for things.
He just really wants you to say, yes, this is good.
Yeah, he wants. I know what it is. He wants to hear the impression. Well, guess what? I'm not going to do it. So too bad.
We haven't gotten to the Patreon names though yet. All right, and then the last one from Bruce Buchanan III. Would love to see an episode on Batman. Would love to see an episode on Batman Revolution.
Yeah, I saw this. I was like, I gotta finish listening to that audiobook, man. But I got you. Like, just give me a minute.
I was gonna.
The audiobook's good. I've just been busy, guys.
Yeah, I was gonna quote you and say, "Well, I've got good news for you, Bruce. We're gonna do it for the next episode." Yeah, which basically my way of forcing Alex to finish the audiobook so we can finally fucking talk about. Because there's definitely some stuff.
I'm so lazy, man. It's an audiobook. Like I'm not even reading. I'm having someone else. I'm pulling the John Peters. I'm having somebody else read that shit to me. It's taking me this long to finish it.
The fans are just good. You watched Captain Jack in 1990 twice, but
John Jackson Miller. If you're listening to this, it's not because the quality is good. I've just been so busy. My wife wants to watch like different stuff when I get home. Now I have time to watch a bunch of other things. I'm sorry.
Fuck those Christmas movies. It's all about Batman Revolution.
We did watch the Muppets Christmas Carol again. We had to see it. Speaking of cuts, we'll get this to the Patreon, but we had to see the proper cut for the Muppets Christmas Carol.
But that we're doing Batman Revolution to bring in 2026. Hence why I'm in the Michael Keaton turtleneck outfit, as well as the fact that I just have to wear glasses right now as I'm recovering from something. So, yeah, we're ready to go. Going back into the Batman type of stuff every now and then.
What
While
about that
also
Superman?
the other Superman.
The Superman Reborn or
Superman flyby.
Yeah, there we go.
Guys. Guys, we got to finish Batman Revolution first.
That's like
Alex has to finish Batman Revolution first before we get to any scripts.
Have we got any comments about that about that recently, or people kind of let it go for now?
Nolan asked me at the last monthly meetup. Actually, he's like,
"Oh damn,
when Superman flyby?" I'm like, "I'm sorry."
he's like TikTok. Come on,
where is it? The Superman movie already came by. I'm like, well, we've been a little busy. We just got,
There's a Man of Tomorrow's coming out, like Supergirl and Man of Tomorrow's coming out later. We got time. It's not like they're gonna stop making those movies.
No, yeah, right. Like we've had some panels. We've got the CineFile partnership. We've got this alternate Captain America cut. We've been,
what do you want from us, people?
Yeah, we covered actually. We broke a lot of new ground when it came to different characters for this year. Because I'm like, sure, everybody loves a lot of Batman content, but some people have rightfully pointed out, like, hey, like you want to give some. How about giving some love to some of the other superheroes of this realm? And to which Alex said, like Rorschach, no. But we got, this is our first Captain America episode.
Yeah,
we did 3 episodes on Daredevil, which we had never done before, and we had guests this year, and we'll have some upcoming guests for next year. Some with CineFile, of course, but others where we'll hope to bring in this longer space that we have with Alex and me, where Alex will have more of an opportunity to ask questions to some of these people, depending on who we can bring in. But yeah, there's the love is going to be spread to across different characters. But I think maybe a good sweet spot is switching back and forth between Burton Batman and Captain America, and then back to Burton Batman with Batman Revolution, and then the Punisher 89, and then back to
we gotta get Dolph on here, man.
Right? Yeah, because he doesn't have anything else going on.
Yeah, he's not busy.
But to be on superhero stuff, you should know.
Did I tell you about that on the the 89 the Blu-ray I have?
Yeah.
He's being interviewed, and like you can tell, like they just got him like in the middle of one of his sets or something, because like he's just like at a gym. Like there's just like a bunch of like people working out at the gym behind him. It's clearly some gym in LA that like they just kind of pulled him aside and had him talk about the movie for like 10 minutes basically.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into the final stretch. We got the Patreon names.
Oh, here we go. All right. So, why not? Just one more. You're gonna get what you want. All right, Ruben. You're gonna make me do it. But no. But seriously, Ruben, I like this back and forth we got going. I'm just playing with you, man. But so we got Halsey D. Corbin, Slight Rebellion off Madison, Choco Milk, Super Inframan, Jeffrey Scott Richards / STCT Productions, Derek Osborne. Oh wait, hold on. I'll mix it up because I can also do the Super Friends announcer.
Yes,
Jason Price, Rebellious Monkey 98, Cyber 6, Devin, Benjamin Vega, Nick Gonzalez, Nolan Moore, Tito G, Drew Griffin, Asterix or whatever that is. 1995 Batman. and Ben Lee Page.
Yes. And thank you to our other supporters. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, thank you to our other supporters. Matt Herring, rest in peace. Leander Nicholson, who we gave a shout out to earlier. Logan Wood. Logan provided a lot of other supplementary stuff for Captain America 1990 that we'll also be discussing in the Patreon. Newverse Creative, or Newverse Media, as they're called now. Thank you, Tim. Triple Threat Comics. Check out Ian's Triple Threat Comics reaction to Captain America, the Albert Pyun cut. The Bat Feed, Arkham Tapes, of course. Aaron Quinn, at Prof. Ishikano Batman, Rob Ailing, Robert Schumann, Sparkageddon, Cookie Noms, Elijah B., Shamrock Balls, Ian H., Walter the Wobot, John Wells, Rye Guy, Jackson Putnam, Tway N., Stage Bat, W. Media, Paul G., Sean Willits, Ruben A., who has his back and forth with Alex, Yeet again, apologies to Yeet. I was at Yeet's Yeet actually invited me over. I met up with him. And I didn't realize that, but
sorry for messing with your name then, man.
yeah, we messed with your name, unfortunately, because of the fact that apparently I've misspelled it this entire time.
How's it spelled?
It's spelled, well, I spelled it correctly here, but before I had it just YGIT. It's YIGIT. I left off the extra I.
Come on,
I didn't
man.
realize it. I know. This is a guy that I know. So yeah.
Oh
apologies.
man.
Yeah. I just, in my mind, it always looked a certain way, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the case. So that was embarrassing, but I'm putting that out there anyway. So Mine Kidzag, Cole Watkins, who's at Yodel King. I mean,
Yes,
King,
Yodel King.
Ye Old King _ creative
My
Sparrow.
dyslexic self.
Neil at 1995 Batman, the other half of 1995 Batman.
Nice.
CineFile video, of course, Tyler Sandifer, and I'm adding this in because it's about time. You're a big fan of ours. I've seen your comments all over the place. I know that you're a big fan of both this and Nuverse Creative, Nuverse Media stuff. Evan Zarumba. So thank you, Evan, for being a fan. I figure I should add you in because I've seen you around so much. But yeah.
Also, W Media, Joey. I appreciate always liking he likes a lot of my stuff on Instagram. So like I do notice that, and also like we have our little back and forths and stuff. So like shout out to Joey too. Also, your art's amazing, dude. Keep it up.
Yeah. And then, thank you, Evan, for promoting us to other people and telling us about our episodes and all that type of stuff. That's very much, if you want to know how do I get on the other supporters, it's because you've either collaborated or you've done so much to help promote us.
Hey, he did the thing. He told all of his friends about
all his friends about us. Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
You did exactly what we say at the end. So
nice.
You can join the Patreon, patreon.com/superhero_SYSK. You already heard the plug in the beginning. You know what's up with that. So with that, I think that wraps up this episode. So we want you to do us a favor. We want you to tell all your friends about us.
Just stepped all over that.
What are we? I'm Ben Wan.
I'm the puniest Cap.
And this is Superhero Stuff You Should Know.